Welcome to the Nick and Matt Show, bringing the player interviews you want to hear and the hot topics you want to discuss. Recording live in studio, here's Nick and Matt.
All right. That intro took a little bit longer than usual. We're sitting here quietly, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Episode 147, presented this episode by Cosmic Disc Golf. You can check them out online. Tremendously cool opportunities, especially for TDs. You want to make some money, tournament directing. You can figure it out on your own, or you can do it through someone who's going to make your life easy, and then you get to bring home a couple dollars.
I also,
more than a couple.
I also
dollars.
heard there was a Cosmic event over at Maple Hill recently that went extremely well.
Dude,
so
every
shout out
month
to the
at
Cosmic
Maple
guys
Hill.
using the Northeast. Yeah,
they need to do it everywhere all the time. So reach out over there,
Yeah.
Cosmic Dave, great guy. Check him out, Cosmic Disc Golf. We appreciate their support here, and you go support them. That'd be great. All right, well, we're at the top of the show here. We have a massive show tonight. We're going to talk to Paul McBeth in just literally a few minutes. He's all the way across the ocean, or the pond, as they say. I think it's about 2 a.m. there, something like that. We've got Paige Pierce lined up to talk, tell us what's going on. I think we've seen a little bit of news about her and her leg and slippery bridges or something along those lines. So we got a lot to talk about, and we'd be obviously missing a massive one if we didn't mention that the Disc Golf Pro Tour made an announced adjustment to their media schedule in order, as they put it, to protect fairness in the FPO division. We'll read a little bit about that, talk a little bit about that. So much going on in the disc golf world right now, and that last one that I just mentioned has to be one of the largest announcements ever. One of them, as far as what is going to happen with disc golf in the history of it. But we'll talk about that. I think we have pretty good information there. So, Nick, all of that is kind of how I started it. How are you doing? Mm-hmm. You're still in this office that you don't know the baseballs behind you.
I am. I don't know the baseballs behind me, but this will be my last week in the office. My girlfriend's parents are coming back tomorrow, so I will be moving back over out into Good,
into your gym
my
basement,
to where
the middle school
basement studio, and it's people call it a baseball stadium bathroom, and it's got all sorts of names about it. But I think it's some pretty sweet white brick. They thing that I'll miss the most, though, is the internet here. It's been absolutely tremendous, and out in Good, it's not nearly as good.
It's not good.
It's not good.
It's not good. Yeah.
Shout out to the haters of the Gannon Burr phrase. And Gannon Burr, like, dude, we are making fans and we are making haters, and it is awesome. So Gannon Burr, everybody, and we love it. It's it's our show, it's our thing. We love it, and
it makes us smile. That's all that matters. It was one hater, so
doesn't
matter. Everyone else likes it.
Everybody that's listening to this is a call to you, a literal call to you.
What?
Send messages to the Nick and Matt Show with your favorite Gannon Burr, and if we like it, we'll play it.
There we go.
All right, there you go.
You might just win the giveaway that we have.
It's true.
On.
In fact, you bring up the giveaway, Nick.
Yeah.
We are 500 or so in that ballpark away from hitting our 10,000 subs on YouTube. We've talked about this before. We were cruising along. Probably would have hit it a few years ago. Maybe not. We went over to Foundation. Great opportunity there. But this channel set idle. We came back here and we had to get that momentum going again for our subs in the YouTube channel. Help us out. Hit subscribe on there. Hit like, whatever you got to do to make sure that you're notified of these videos. When we hit 10,000, we're giving away a value of $2,200. So $2,200 value package. People heard the giveaway last week, Nick. They reached out to me. They're like, is it really that good? And I said, it's going to be great.
Yeah.
So if you want that experience or that opportunity, hit sub. We're going to hit 10,000. We give it away. How are we giving it away? Start bombarding us with tags all over the internet. People are doing it. I've been seeing it. And when we see it,
hey, look,
it brings our attention to it.
One of my favorite ones is Wyatt Mahoney and his brother, where they did the little video on, hey, welcome to the Nick and Matt Show. And that one actually, I think he sent that to us in our group chat too. But that one definitely, that one made me laugh the most so far.
That kid's like, he was doing his own recording of the Nick and Matt Show. And he's like, I'm Nick. And he goes, I don't know where Matt is.
He goes, don't forget to subscribe.
Yeah. So
biggest thing you can do, subscribe to the channel. If you're a post audio listener, head over onto YouTube, create an account, subscribe, create 10 accounts, subscribe to us. We don't care. Tag us in all your social media stuff.
That was an accident.
Ladies and gentlemen, intern Ben
that was a complete accident. Let me get that back.
No, we're going right into it. So
we're going right into it.
Hit
anyway.
the subscribe button. and it lagged, so it made me hit the interview on.
Intern Ben.
Holy,
everybody.
hold
Intern
on,
Ben, you're
let me.
fired.
All I can say is you would probably be fired if Paul was doing anything but sitting there listening to our show. So,
Oh my goodness! I
All
hit
right.
the subscribe button and it lagged the stream.
all
deck.
good, intern Ben. Okay, Paul McBeth, everybody, joins the show from over the pond.
Whoops.
I think it's a 6 hour ahead, Paul. Is that correct? What time is it?
It's 7 hours, 2 a.m.
2 a.m. according to the time of this recording. So,
Casual, normal bedtime. Did you take a nap before the show? Get pumped up?
No bedtime, so you're not gonna have me long, or no nap. Sorry,
yeah.
no nap.
yeah.
But you guys are frozen on my screen, so
All right,
we're frozen.
Just don't do anything that I need to see.
Can you can at least hear us pretty well though, right?
Yeah, I hear everything.
Okay,
fine.
perfect then.
Interesting.
We'll just fire Ben later.
Remember we've done this before where we can make the guest blind and then bring him back up. Maybe we could try that. Let me see. Blind. Let's try it again. If it does or it doesn't work, that's okay.
Oh yeah, now I see you guys.
Oh, good.
There
I
we
fixed
go.
it. I guess I'll take intern Ben's job.
I can't
There
believe
we
I
go.
did that.
All right, enough wasted
We have to
time
pay
here.
you, Matt.
You just want. You can hear me, Nick?
Yeah.
Oh, I thought you said something. Okay.
No,
This is your first elite win, Paul. And we know you care most about majors and worlds. Correct me if I'm wrong. But a win in Europe, an elite event, where does this one stack up? How do you feel?
This one is awesome. I mean, it's the first ever elite event in Europe. So first DGPT elite event, and I guess national tour as well, because those were kind of just in the U.S. That's why they're called national tours. But yeah, I mean it's an awesome accomplishment to have the first one ever, and then it was my second tournament ever in Norway, and unfortunately earlier in the year I lost to Bradley Williams in Norway. So good to get the redemption story and then have all the Americans there, and then I will say in Vestnes where we were, incredible. That's what I pictured Norway being like. So really special all around.
Yeah. I'm trying. I had a question. I was thinking how good the course actually did look. It's gonna. Spoiler alert! It's gonna come up later as one of my top 5. And I've never been there. What did you think about the strength of the field here? Does that come into your mind sometimes when you get a victory? You're like, yeah, but so and so wasn't here. How did you feel about this strength of the field?
I have no clue what the difference was. Obviously, there was more Americans, but I mean, there was another tournament going on in Europe, and there was a couple Americans, and they didn't win. So it's not like they're slackers over here in Europe. So I know, obviously, I played with AB, Hamas in a practice round. Rick was there. Played with Proctor, Eagle, Calvin. So I knew there was quite a few names there, but didn't feel any different compared to all the other tournaments I've played. I had quite a few battles since I've been over here in Europe, and this was actually my biggest margin of victory so far. Well, I mean, I guess the Croatia one was, but the other ones were tight battles, and this one was a tight battle until the back half of the round. So this was like you said, has a lot of names in it, but it's a competition at the end of the day.
Mm-hmm.
We can kind of.
Yeah, I was going to ask Evan if he had any cool stats on the strength of the field. By the way, Evan's here, everybody.
Yeah, I haven't even said a word yet, but no, I don't actually have any stats pulled up. I can look into a few. I want to give one quick correction. This is not the first elite event outside the United States, but it was the first in Europe. We saw the Canadian Open on the national tour in 2007. 2007 on Toronto Island. So we've seen a national tour in Canada. But first in Europe, very cool. I don't want to take anything away from that because it was absolutely phenomenal.
The last time you tried to correct Paul McBeth, it turned bad on Twitter. So just make sure you're right, Evan.
I have no recollection of what you're talking about, but yeah, I can send you the PDGA event ID or send the link straight to you if you'd like. But Nate Doss won an FPO and Des Redding won an FPO. I'm not sure. It's a teaching moment. There's been other accounts and people who have said it too, and so I didn't even know of this before I looked into it. So I'm not calling anyone out. Teaching moment to everyone. I have a question for you, Paul. Not related to the strength of the field. Your first event over in Europe wasn't the best, 31st place at the Estonian Open, but since then have been absolutely incredible. What were the emotions after that performance at Estonian Open?
Uh, I mean, disappointed in my finish. I was actually talking to Joey about this earlier, and it didn't start out how I wanted. I mean, I was sick in Spain. I didn't get to do as much as I wanted at the Paul McBeth Foundation course installation there, or the course opening. So that kind of sucked, and it kind of carried over into Estonia. But yeah, so having that involved in the travel and then not performing well, it was a whole bunch of just things stacked against me, I felt like, but it was awesome to experience it and battle through it and just kind of see how the support was even if I wasn't performing. I felt terrible because I wanted to go out there and put on a show
Mhm.
and took 31st place. So not what I wanted to do, but it was, it's been that kind of year so far, and I feel like things are starting to click now. So just in time, I guess some could say.
I'm laughing because I had this moment where we've interviewed you enough times and we found out, how big deal majors are. And I've watched your career now for the duration of my disc golf experience. And I'm like, it's always later in the season. Not always, but like it's Paul turns it on. And so do you feel that way? Do you feel like there's some part of you that gets ramped up throughout the season? Or is that just random?
Well, if you look at my career, I used to be the player that would always start out hot and then fall off at the end. And that's not how you want the season. It's great to start the season like that, but the big tournaments are at the end. The big tournaments are at the back end. Worlds was usually the first major, or Europe, and it was in July or June. So you want to be hot at the end of the season, not the beginning. And that's just how I learned the hard way, I guess I'd say.
Interesting. What does that take? What do you think the difference is mindset wise? Like, hey, obviously you want to win, but like, what's the difference in mindset of how you go into these events at the beginning of the season versus later?
I guess it's realizing it's a marathon, not a sprint. Similar with tournaments. They're not sprints. It's who's going to be at the top at the end, not the first round. So I guess it's kind of just taking that into the season and working on my game throughout the season. I love working hard in the off season, and then throughout the year, it's like maintenance, and then just keeping healthy throughout the season. But as far as a mindset, it's kind of just knowing that it is a long season. Don't burn out early. If I feel like I'm starting to burn out, hey, maybe I should back off and take off one tournament, or just kind of change things going on in preparation or something like that to make the game still more enjoyable. Because if you burn out halfway through the season, you're not going to have a fun time when the majors come around.
This course, do you say Overos? Is that correct? The course? Overos. Okay. Is this the way you would like to see, generally speaking, not an identical cookie cutter, but did you like this course enough that you'd like to see this type of variation on a course be like a lot more places?
It's a very fun course. It's actually one of the shorter ones. It's definitely one of the shorter ones I've played on this Euro Tour as well. And it seems like the newest kind of course that I played on this Euro Tour. So they do an amazing job out there. They're such hard workers, and some of the holes you could probably tell were pretty new, and there's a lot of wood chips, so you can tell there's water that gets in those certain holes that I'm sure they'll figure out as time comes how to drain them. But I think it just lacks distance. But they do have some great par fours, great par threes, very enjoyable course, and I mean it's just an incredible place. So I hope we continue to find places like this where we can play tournaments and bring people to. Yeah, I don't think there's a single person that has a bad thing to say about how the course is right now.
Maybe the slippery bridge person. We'll have to figure that out, but we'll see.
Yeah, that was from what I heard too. Quite a few people slipped on. I slipped on it, but it was raining, so I kind of understand why. But
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we'll talk to Paige about that later. But I think from the viewer's perspective, and people don't usually come to hear my perspective when Paul's on, and I'm sitting next to him on screen here. But it was totally enjoyable, like to watch and be able to see the flight of a throw and hopefully land near a basket off the tee pad. Like that's just really enjoyable from a viewer's perspective. And you put on a great show. It was great to see you back in that form of winning elite event. Nick, you got anything for your friend here?
I do. I kind of want to bring it to the final round. You had said earlier it was kind of the back half of that final round, but we kind of saw vintage McBeast mode, and it's weird that it wasn't on a Sunday. It was on a Saturday, the last day of the tournament. So it was definitely kind of an awkwardness yesterday, just hanging out and not being able to watch disc golf. But talk to us about that final round, bogey-free, 13 down, course record, besting the field by 7 or 8 strokes, beating James Proctor, who was leading on you by 7 strokes to ultimately win the tournament by 5. Just talk to us what that was like going from tournaments that you've had in Europe so far into that final round at Overos.
Yeah, like I mentioned before, I've had some battles with Larry Lettinen, Niklas Antila, Bradley Williams, and then I've played with Jakob Seminard quite a few times now. So I've had some battles out here with players. So going into this final round down 2, I knew what I was in for. I knew that it wasn't going to be easy, and it was in my mind it was a 3-horse race with Calvin and Proctor ahead of me by 2, and unfortunately Calvin had a rough start, so it was kind of just early on just James and I knew after playing with him the last round that he was shooting well. He shot 9-9, and I knew if he shot another 9, and he's obviously capable of shooting another 9, that I was going to have to do double digits to make it a battle, and I knew that before we started on Saturday. So he started out hot. He shot 6 down on the front 9, and I just had to keep pace, birdieing the first 3 and missing 4, but being able to get 7 out of 9 to start, and then missing, arguably the easiest hole in that front 9 with hole number 9. I was only able to gain 1 stroke, and he didn't really make any mistakes until hole 11. Yeah, 11 was like his first real mistake. And then hole 12 was the hardest hole in the course. So I knew if I could capitalize there, I knew one of us was going to make a mistake, and I wasn't going to let that be me. So I went over. Well, I went over the top, which I had done so many times in practice, and I just had to be really aggressive, and I was able to put my drive where I wanted and put some pressure on him and get that birdie. And that's really when I felt like, okay, now I'm in control. This is my tournament to lose now. And that was the first time I felt that all weekend, and I wasn't going to let that slip away.
Yeah. So hole 12, is it a good hole? I mean, if you take away the over the top of the tree shot, is it a good hole, or in general, is it a good hole?
I think it needs maybe like 4 little trees gone to get to the landing zone, because the shape that it is very weird for right-handed backhand and left-handed, forehand. It is a very hard par 4. If they left it and made it a mandatory, I wouldn't be against it. But as you saw the first round, I slipped on the tee pad and didn't get a good shot, and that kind of just changed me to being like, all right, as long as I throw hyzer, I'm going to be up there every time, and even if I'm not in a good position, I can lay up to get to a spot where I can save my 4 with the forehand over the top. So I didn't play it down the middle enough to really make a call on that. But
speaking of going up over the top and no mandos right now, you heard or probably saw that Gannon out at Kansas City Wide Open threw a shot, and then later it got changed to a mando. We've seen that a few times. What is your just quick response to that? Like, is that cool? Like players finding out shots and the event being like, yeah, we got to change that for next round. How do you feel about that as a player?
Yeah, I mean, well, especially on par 5s, and you'll see that a lot, or harder par 4s, to where they're kind of gimmicky holes in a way, to where it's like, one, I think he did expose that, to where you said it, this has happened before, where they'll put up late mandatories or make these OBs and things like that, to where they can make those changes, and maybe they have to get a waiver or something. But that usually just means that there's something with the hole, because they don't want to use the intended fairway. And usually the term fairway is used loosely in those situations, because there must be something that's not too fair about going down these gaps. But I didn't watch the Kansas City coverage, but I did see a lot of memes and things like that about that hole specifically.
So Paul, I'm just going to put you in a scenario of being at this PCS Open. You throw it over the top, let's say, and then the next round they change it and take it away. How would you feel about that? Because you went into the round practicing it a certain way, and then like the next round they take it. I'm not. This is hypothetical. Like these events, I guess that's what you're commenting on. Like you probably wouldn't be too happy about it.
Well, I'd understand. Like if it's a safety thing, I get it.
Yeah.
You know, I understand. You don't want people throwing over another hole, which this one it'd be just because someone's broken the hole in a way. To where it's not really a safety thing. But if there was a gallery there and we're throwing over and spike hyzering into the gallery or another hole, I would get it and I'd understand. But I practiced both in case that did happen.
There you go. That's the true professional player there. I should have known. I know you practiced, but you said you threw a lot over the top, but you probably threw a lot down the middle too.
Yeah. I mean, you could tell that wasn't the intended line. So you never know.
Well, good job on that. That was exciting to see. And like you said, you were like, oh, I feel in control now. I was like, oh, he's in control now. It's like, it's tough. But you know what? Proctor has been doing some incredible things this year as out there on the Disc Golf Pro Tour. We've been trying to line him up for a while. I thought if he beat you, that would be his first like win interview, but you beat him, so you get the interview.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I mean, I've played with Proctor for years. Before he was touring, you know, he would play in California a lot, Northern California. I think he went to school in Reno or played for Reno in college nationals and stuff like that. So I've played with Proctor for a long time. It's not a surprise to see him playing this well. His game has been the way that it is now for a long time, but now he's on the stage now and performing. So it's good to see.
okay, I have one or two more before we let you go. Maybe Nick does, but my first is they did an interview with you as they do at the end of all Disc Golf Network events or Disc Golf Pro Tour events, and they like to do what most of us do in media talking and like point out some cool stats to you, like hey Paul, you haven't won in a while, like at the elite level, and you responded to that, and I noticed like at the end of your sentence, you more or less was like, I got worlds, and like. When you hear this message of like not having won a lot, is that your mindset's like, hey, bring it on. It doesn't matter because I have 6 worlds. Like, where's your mindset when you hear a stat like that?
Well, I mean, they just went back to you haven't won an Elite Series or a major since Worlds last year. And I was like, well, I mean, it's not a bad one to win. So if I don't win another one after that, I'm not going to complain. But no, I mean, I've been working on a lot of things. Even at Worlds last year, I was going through some things and trying to figure it out. And I wasn't too far off at USDGC either. So, yeah. So, I mean, it's just a constant progress. I always want to get better. But there's been a lot of things that I feel like I need to fix and work on. And I mean, even at the final round when I shot the 13 down, I didn't hit a single C2 putt. And I had many very makeable ones, and even the one that they gave me was well inside the circle. If you go and look at it, it was like 20 feet, but apparently it looked outside the circle. So 0 for 5, and I don't want to do that again.
Okay, my last one, I promise, for me is you said you're working on things with your game. You've actually been pretty open with that, whether it's in social media or in interviews or whatever it is on the course, talking about arm placement or I'm figuring things out. This is at a point in your career where most would assume a player at the top has everything figured out. So like what happened this year, or what happens in the life career of a professional? Like what happens where this comes into play where you have to figure it out again?
I mean, injuries happen and you got to tweak things and fix things. And then like let's say you roll your ankle and you come back and you play, your timing's going to be off. You're gonna have to figure it out. It's not like you just snap back into it. And then, it could be small things like that, and then trying to figure out how to throw properly again, and trying to get these things to time well again, and it's just injuries are probably the biggest thing. We played through so many, and as an athlete, like you're never really ever 100%. There's always something that's nagging or something that's not working or firing properly. So, that happens if that happens early in the season or midway or in the off season, it doesn't matter. It'll still linger, and you got to try to figure out these timing things. So like right now, the biggest thing is my left arm and my left side isn't timing with the right. So if I keep that back in my drive right now, it allows me to get my timing correctly when I'm trying to pull through. So yes, it feels awkward, it looks awkward, but it's what I have to do right now until I can figure it out again. But if it keeps working, then I might not change it back.
It's inspiring for me, and it's inspiring for the rest of us who are just amateur disc golfers trying to get better, to see that at the best, at the top, they're still trying to do that and make their game better. So I'll keep working at it too. Nick or Evan, any closing questions for you guys?
Yeah, I got one.
I got one too after you, Nick.
Yeah, just coming up on about 7 weeks over in Europe. Started out in Spain. You're coming up almost about 2 months. You're coming into the final tournament of the European trip, the European Open. Before we talk about European Open, how would you rate your experience so far playing these European events? I know it was a big kind of storyline when the announcement came that you were skipping a lot of the US tournaments to come over here to Europe and play these events. Just talk to us about the experience in general.
Yeah, so I'm on my 8th week over here now. It started in Spain and then went Estonia, Croatia, Czech Republic, Norway, Sweden, and now in Finland. So been a long trip, but just the culture from all these countries. Like, I'd never been to Croatia before. I'd never been to Norway. And just the experiences of seeing what life is like out here, traveling the way that they do, taking trains to different tournaments, buses, like, it's just so different than the US, and it is a little learning curve, but I'm surprised with how comfortable I've been with all of it, and just kind of going with the flow and just not treating it as a vacation, but just soaking it all in and just enjoying it. And the course styles are so different, as I've seen so much in comments and people watching. It's like, it's so exciting to watch the European disc golf because it's refreshing. And that's what I feel like it's done for me, is it's really refreshed me and makes me want to get on the course again. And I think that's kind of, you kind of saw that last week at PCS, because now the Americans get to come play this style of golf, which is kind of where the season's starting to go in the US now, with Ledgestone coming up, D-Glow, Maple Hill, all those tournaments and Worlds. So it's just like a refreshing style of disc golf. I like throwing my fairways. I like throwing my mids. I enjoy throwing my distance drivers as well, but just not on every shot. But yeah.
All right, I got one last kind of casual question before Evan. Have you seen the European commentators booth in previous tournaments?
Go up, Ben.
Yeah. So I'm pretty sure they tried to do that for the DGPT as well, or the US ones early on, but they didn't do well with it.
Do you like them?
Kind of looks like this.
It looks like it. It wasn't
It's
supposed to be.
Sort of part of it. The blue line in the center is. Dude, that I told Matt, but that's what we kept it. We kept it.
Yeah, true.
Oh, that'd be cool.
I mean,
I'd actually be for that.
Yeah,
it's better than just a green screen or something.
All right, you heard it here first. Paul likes it better than the American booths. There we go. Clickbait it. Throw it up as the title.
I don't know what the American booth looked like.
I mean, the best ones that they do are when they're actually on the course, and you kind of like at Worlds last year, they're overlooking the course. Times at that where it's really good. Like, honestly, if they put it up at the Maple Hill Sap House, you could have a really cool
do it.
broadcast center there.
Evan, what do you got? We've got Paul late into the night.
I want to do a way too early look at 2024. It was a big move to spend so many weeks over in Europe. Is there any plans to have an extended European trip past, like, let's say if there's a DGPT Elite and European Open again in 2024? Would you go any weeks past that, or any thoughts on that so far?
Like, you're saying longer than this trip, or you're saying do it?
Whether you do it again or like longer than 2 events, let's say.
I would say it's probably 90% I'd do it again next year.
Very cool.
Yeah.
I just realized.
And what?
No, sorry. I was just saying, apologize for the lack of Paul audio when Ben was on screen. When Ben was on screen with the studio, you couldn't hear Paul. We figured it out.
Oh.
Sorry. Continue on.
It'll be in the podcast.
People are freaking out. We can't hear Paul.
Spotify edition.
It was when Ben was up. It was all Ben just waving his hand.
Yeah, literally. It was literally just me going like this.
Paul said he was small.
That's true.
That's what you take away from it.
And also notice the finish.
Sorry, you can finish out that conversation. I just saw the chat freaking out.
Yeah. No, that's all I had. I appreciate the insight into 2024. Yeah. That's exciting.
And I've heard quite a few Americans think they're going to do it as well. I mean, it's so hard to beat that European summer. I mean, it's hard to be in Des Moines in the middle of summer. It's hard to be in wherever else, Kansas City, wherever else they were coming from.
Are you planning on sticking with the Euro tours for the most part, like you were this year? You played one European Pro Tour, but the 4, 5, 6, whatever else were Euro tours.
I didn't even know what I was playing. I just picked the countries. So I didn't know the difference, to be honest. I didn't know the first one in Estonia was going to be a European Pro Tour, and then the rest were Euro tours. I didn't know that. I didn't know that they were split, similar to a lot of people. We all kind of found that out. I don't even think all Europeans understand it either.
When does President's Cup start? Is that tomorrow or Wednesday?
Wednesday. Okay.
You're obviously out in Finland already. Started practicing the Beast. Any notable changes this year to the course?
One's the same, two's the same. 3 has like a bigger river in between it now, or like lake, whatever you want to call it, of OB. 4's the same, 5's the same, 6 the same. 7's got a new it's just like a taller, it's like a new pad, so it's like a little higher and maybe a little bit further. 8's got hay bales now, so it's still the same hole, but it's kind of a little bit, you can't slide it up as easily. 9's the same. 10's got tighter ropes. 11's the same. 12, 13, same. 14's got a new tee pad. It's a little bit more of a turnover, more forehand friendly. And then 15, 16, 17, 18 are the same.
Very cool.
Well, 16's got a smaller island now.
Oh, the stroke
That's
and
the
distance hole?
bunker.
Well, not really stroke and distance, but
noticeably smaller.
Really?
Wow. Same spot, just shrunken.
Yeah.
Tee shots the same and everything like that?
Yep.
Dang. What would you say to the safe zone on the left-hand side of the basket? How far, how close is OB?
That's what really got smaller. It used
That's
to be
what I
like
figured.
almost, so it used to be like, I don't know how I would say the shape was, but it wasn't like an oval or a semicircle. It kind of had like a little shape to it. And I would say it was almost circle 2, like maybe probably close to circle 2, probably 60 feet or so.
Mm-hmm.
And now it's significantly smaller. I would say 50 or so, like at least 10 feet smaller on that side.
Yeah.
And the right side's still the same. Like, still get, oh man, I would say it's only 35 feet wide and then less than 60 feet end to end.
Yeah.
Maybe 60 feet end to end.
I don't think the video really doesn't do it justice, but when you're throwing your drive into an ideal landing zone, how far is that upshot?
Ideally, like 260 probably, but a majority of people are throwing it up over 300.
Yeah.
And is it looks uphill up to the island from coverage. How is it, like very uphill or just a little bit?
So it's not up. The green is kind of like on the side of a hill. It's not like you're throwing uphill. You just kind of try to land the disc on the side of a hill.
Okay.
But like if from your feet to where you'll be standing from the basket is maybe 8 feet higher.
Okay.
Not a whole lot.
Yeah. Any closing thoughts, Paul?
Well, what time is it in the U.S. right now?
7:34.
7:34. 7:34 Eastern. Well, tomorrow I'll be dropping a video on my YouTube page from the first ever disc golf tournament at the Rancho El Camino, which is the first Paul McBeth Foundation course. I was able to play that earlier in February. Joey was there as well, and we documented it and kind of got some great interviews, some great insight on how the growth of disc golf has impacted their area and just how it's just been growing in general. So I was able to play that tournament. We documented it and got some great interviews. So that'll be dropping tomorrow on my YouTube channel. So if you're listening to this, today is Monday. So tomorrow, Tuesday, it'll be dropping.
Any little teaser, Paul? You were there when the course was incepted, and then you were back. Like, were you blown away at the growth? Can you say that much?
It's in the video. I don't want to spoil
All right,
it.
there you go.
They say it. But yeah, the tournament was fun. It's got some really, really great stories and some heartwarming stories, and it's a lot on, like, we talked about the first generation of how we met the crew and the main characters from if you watch any of the previous videos, and how they're already starting on their second generation of talent there, and it's only been 2 years.
Wow.
So,
All right. Well,
Wow, that's
definitely
very
everybody
cool.
check that out. You're already probably subscribed to Paul McBeth's channel if you're subscribed to ours. And everyone
you're
who's
not-
subscribed to Paul's channel should just subscribe to our channel. I mean, we get us
You
to
got a chance to win a
10,000.
massive giveaway.
That's right.
So
All right, Paul, thank you so much for coming on. We know it's late there. We appreciate the time of day. I was going to say giving us the time of day, but giving us the time of night, whatever it is. And
6 a.m.
there you go.
yeah.
You still have a fan. Shout out to my kids, I guess. You still have a major fan in Hunter. I mean, like, still jump up and down nervous when he watches you play. So and I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I look upstairs because I know he's up there right now. He's probably like, Dad. And he's getting more embarrassed. He's
Just
pounding.
embarrassing him.
He's pounding on the floor. He's like, stop. Okay.
Well,
Anyways.
Paul, best of luck
Yeah.
at the President's Cup and the European Open.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Look forward to putting on the show.
All right. Bye.
Peace.
All right, to our chat. How's the lawsuit going, guys? When someone's in the middle of a lawsuit, like, we could ask them about that, but we kind of had a pre-show discussion. It's like, hey, it's a lawsuit, we can't talk about it, so we didn't ask them any questions about it. So we don't know how it's going. We can only assume it's going very lawsuity.
Are lawsuits updated publicly as well, in the sense of someone found the lawsuit, it was made public?
Yeah.
Just, I'm talking any lawsuit in general.
If
Is
there's
there,
new
like,
filings,
is there updates? Yeah, exactly.
yeah. So I mean, you
When
can
we
see.
know, you guys will know. When you
Yeah.
guys know, maybe we'll know.
Maybe we'll know.
Kind of one of those things.
All right.
But,
So that was Paul. It was good insight from there. Again, really do appreciate the fact that he's late at night there. I'm assuming I've talked or heard from players out there with the jet lag and all that. Okay. We're getting closer to Paige Pierce joining the show, but before we get there, we wanted to fit in this conversation, and it's not going to be super long. I mean, there's so many takes. We could do a whole podcast on it, but a rather big announcement. In fact, I would say it's the biggest, it's got to be it's the biggest announcement the Disc Golf Pro Tour has ever made. Now, you could argue like, oh, other things are that they've said that were like cool, revolutionary or whatever for disc golf. But like, this is up there with the biggest ever because of the potential impact to the sport in general. And the announcement was the Disc Golf Pro Tour adjusts the schedule and media plans. It starts out nice to protect competitive fairness in FPO division. And you're like, oh, it sounds nice too. Fairness. Everyone loves fairness. But we know this is in regards to the fact that the Pro Tour has adopted the rule of the PDGA that says transgender women that did not transition before, I think it's the age of puberty or whatever that is. I'm not a doctor here, but more or less, if that didn't happen, they can't compete in these elite events. And they are trying to uphold that now at this point. Uphold the fact that they adopted the PDGA's rule and going to court regularly at these events. And there's a lot to be said here, but one of the main problems that they address inside of here, they talk about the financial burdens. They talk about the fact that last minute litigations are harmful to the tour, because what's happening from the tour's perspective is that they will be ready if they needed to defend themselves in court, but they're not really given that opportunity because these are last minute litigations, which in turn are emergency restraining orders, which allow Natalie Ryan in this situation to play, and without the case really being heard or ruled on. In fact, they still have some open cases right now. And so with that in mind, they feel that it is harmful because it's not protecting the fairness of the FPO division, that they are now adjusting their schedule to move events out of states where, I guess I'm just going to use words that I would say, friendly to a case versus not friendly to a case. Move to states where they feel like it's more friendly, to where if litigation happened, they feel much more likely that it would not rule against them. Again, I'm using my own words here. I'm not an attorney. With this conversation in mind, the initial reaction that a lot of us had is like, this is massive. A lot of people had an initial reaction of like, this is horrible, like bee's nest getting kicked. I'll kind of let Evan, Nick, and even Ben respond to this if they want to, but it was all over the board. I reached out to Katrina. I reached out to Sarah Holcomb, two of the primary voices for that group of FPO players who did a press conference a few weeks ago. And I won't fully quote them here, but there's a mixture of both really upset and more at the situation had to that it came to this place, but also a full responsive trust and support for the Disc Golf Pro Tour. So it's almost as if like, hey, we're not happy we're here, but we're here and we support it because we believe that they're trying their best to obtain fairness. That was from their perspective. I hear rumblings of others not being as happy on tour as well. So you have a mix of feelings there. I'm kind of monologuing here because I'm trying to set it all up for this conversation. And my biggest takeaway before we get into any of the little points, and I'm not sure how much time we'll have to do that tonight, but before we get into that, is in situations like this, and I have a source that I talk to where I feel very comfortable with the information I received, this is very fluid. Like, this is not a decision that a hammer went down and said, this is how it is forever. Will it change? Will it not? We don't know. I'm not even sure, quite frankly, that they know. It's fluid. It's moving. There's parts trying to be decided as they go. Now, that's not to say they're incompetent. That's to say that they're doing everything within their power to make sure that, I don't want to say everybody's satisfied, but that we're able to come back to a place where disc golf can be united and we can have a product. They can have a product. We can have a product that we enjoy. That's the ultimate goal. And so my voice to you as part of the Nick and Matt show, I know we try to get rid of Matt every now and then, is to be patient. And I would say give a couple weeks at least sit back, because there are implications here well beyond just your viewing experience, just the FPO players. I think a lot of disc golf at large, there's a lot that's stake here. Without getting too far into the weeds here, think of sponsors, right? Sponsors here, they don't want to be tied to stuff. And so put the pitchforks away if you have them out. Sit patient on this one for a little bit. Give a couple weeks in between. Let's readdress it and let's see where we come to lie. I don't want to jump too hastily here to an opinion on this, except to say that in my closing thought on this, it was massive news. I think it is an unfortunate situation. I'm not sure it's the path that needed to be taken, but it was the best path forward as the Disc Golf Pro Tour saw it. It's very fluid. Just to throw out some ideas here, you go to litigation, they talked about financial burden. Guys, if we were to throw out numbers of what people are paying in these court cases, I've heard all different numbers thrown around, but let's just throw a number out there. $100,000, $50,000, $150,000. If you're paying that every time, and then you have a company that's trying to be sustainable, they're going, this isn't working too well. We need to adjust something. So with all that in mind, that's where I'll leave it from my perspective. Nick, Evan.
Yeah, I'm just curious why the TV in your
Yeah, why
background
did that
went
just
to
pop
episode
up?
93.
Why did that just pop up?
John Kirkland
A
episode.
wonderful,
Yeah.
a wonderful still shot of Matt's face, just a little scary eyes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Go
Go ahead,
You
Evan.
go. No. You go ahead. Your name's in the show.
it's the Evan and Matt show. Go ahead.
Okay. This is obviously an unfortunate situation. I think the decision comes out to be a no-win decision for both parties, for fans. There's not, no one feels like they came out on top with this. It's just about trying to do your best to go forward from here. I think based on the reactions from this press release, also show that it's a step back. And then it's just a matter of whether it's a step back to go 2 steps forward, or if it's a step back to either stay there or go back more. It's a very obviously tough situation at Matt throughout. I do want to also add to the conversation that I did hear from Charlie Eisenhood today that Natalie has filed litigation in federal court for Worlds in Vermont. I don't know what that means. There's nothing more to it that I know from there, but we'll have this discussion as well for Worlds from the PDGA's point of view. So there's a lot more to come from this. I do want to just say, like, if the schedule does end up being how it is, where the Elite Plus, the playoff events are moved, we're going to miss on some fantastic courses for FPO. I mean, Maple Hill is one that we all love. I mean, if we are not seeing FPO players at Maple Hill, that will be disappointing. There's no jumping around that fact. It is what it is. And then there's also other places where it is super enjoyable to watch the women play these courses. One that I want to mention, which I'll mention later, is Sunset Hills as part of the Ledgestone tournament. So it's saddening to see, but I think Matt said it well, that it's about looking to the future, and hopefully we can have a good outcome come from this. If it has to be this way, try to be as positive as you can given the circumstances. Maybe the rescheduled or moved FPO courses, however best to word that go in tangent with the MPO events, are at really cool courses that we don't normally get to see on tour, and that they're up to par to our standards that we expect. So that would be really cool if we're seeing twice as many good courses. I'm really hoping for the best, but like Matt was saying, it's fluid. Who knows what to expect? So I'll leave it to you now, Nick.
I mean, realistically, as you read over the Disc Golf Pro Tour's announcement of it, they are trying, for most of the events, trying to figure out how to best help the situation that's already, it's not a great situation. MVP Open canceling the FPO division, but working to schedule something in between the World Championships and the Women's Disc Golf United States Championships. They're working to make another FPO playoff event. Same thing with the Great Lakes Open. The FPO division at the Great Lakes Open has been canceled, but they are looking to do it in a separate state that same week to make sure that the FPO still have that playoff event. Like I said, it's a very crazy situation, I would say. I think it's like any big news that happens in the world. We're all just so blown away by it. And I think a lot of people speak before really hearing the facts that are happening, have happened, and are going to happen. And that's, like Matt was saying earlier, one of the biggest things that we can do right now is just, let's see how this plays out. Give it a week or two, maybe even 3 weeks. We'll have more answers. We'll, more than likely, we're going to talk about it on the show every single week. But from what I can look at, just reading the Disc Golf Pro Tour statement, is they are trying to make up for what is happening right now.
Yeah, and so in wrapping this up, after you guys just gave your opinion on it, I mean, I see the chat saying all the they should have, this should have, that should, all these should haves. Like, I have an opinion too. The hard part is I'm not a part of that team in the decision making. So, like, generally speaking, I want to support people who are part of those teams. Doesn't mean I agree with them, but like I want to support the people that are really part of it instead of calling them out. I would say this too. I said sit back patiently for a few weeks. If you were planning to go to one of these events and now you're asking for a refund, or you're just trying to stir the pot to see what will happen with that, give those tournament directors a little bit of grace there too. Give them a few weeks. Like they have to deal with this too. They're trying to figure it out. Okay, I would say give them a few weeks for that. And in fact, I don't mean to say it this flippantly, but if you're that strapped, and some of these events are cost money, I know. If you're that strapped for money, then do it. But otherwise, support the event. Let it get figured out. You're part of disc golf. Last thing on this, the Disc Golf Pro Tour is going to have to get creative. Plain and simple. There's going to be creativity. That's all my brain can think of. There's no way you fully satisfy everybody, but there's going to have to be creativity as a part of the decision that goes forward here. There has to be. And then finally, Steve Dodge on our show last week. He shut down the conversation. I asked Allie Smith, I said, hey, did you hear about the rumors of the Pro Tour? They're going around. Next year maybe won't be a thing. And he shut it down. He said, there will be disc golf next year. Absolutely, there will be disc golf. And people were commenting like, oh, that's a horrible take. No, the Disc Golf Pro Tour supports, we can see it financially. We can see it through their investments, how they've been over the past few years. They're not just all of a sudden balking on that. So it's just a tough situation. They're going to be figuring it out. I support the team there to figure that out. Okay. Did we get an audio test by chance for Paige? Paige, can you give us like a clap or a click or a hi? And okay, cool. So we can hear her. So she's ready to go. We've brought in guests before and we're like just moving their mouths and we don't want to do that again. So, all right, let's welcome to the show, everybody. Paige Pierce, I think. Perfect. We can hear a dog. I don't think they can. Let's bring in Paige.
We'll bring her in.
Yeah, go ahead. Perfect. Oh, what in the? There she is. Okay.
There we go.
Perfect. Welcome, Paige.
Hello.
Hello. How are you doing? Let's just talk about it right away.
Pain has been like the basis on how I'm doing, so that's kind of how I'll answer it. But yeah, it's happened 5 days ago now, and the first 3 days were like a 10 of 10 pain level. I feel like I'm down to like a 4, starting to go down, like the swelling is going down. And um yeah, I think the initial like, you know, uh the initial like pain of it happening and then having to relocate it was the most painful part so far. Um so yeah, it's gone down and it's getting better. I think I'll get some more pain when surgery comes, but it's on the up and up, I think so.
Okay. You just mentioned surgery, but can you elaborate on like how this happened, or is that too private and personal? I mean, you talked about a slippery bridge and you also mentioned scariest moment of your life to this point. Do you feel like telling us what happened?
Yeah, I was playing a practice round. I was with Missy and Tom, and we went out. We were the first ones on the course, 8 o'clock, and it was probably, I don't know, around 8:30 or so. We were on hole 7, and yeah, like the bridge looked slippery. I mean, every hole up to that point, like my disc was wet. I had to dry off my disc every hole, you know. So the ground was wet, and the bridge definitely looked slippery. And it I don't know if you guys saw it on coverage or not, but it's kind of like goes up at an angle and then back down, and there's no handrails or anything on it. And I even had the thought, like, as I was about to go over it, I was like, wow, there's surprised there's no guardrails because of the shape of the bridge, like how it goes up and down like that. And I was like, wow, it looks super wet, you know, all in my head, just thinking these thoughts and like taking my time with each step. And it was my very last step. Um, you know, s- uh, silver linings, you know, like luckily it was my last step, or I could have like fallen off the bridge. I didn't fall off of it. I just like fell, like it was my left foot kind of came out from under.
Okay. You can hear me. She kind of cut out for just a second there. Paige, can you hear me? Okay. Okay. I think maybe your internet's just a little bit,
Yeah,
maybe
it
glitchy
muted
right now.
you for some reason.
Okay. We can figure this out. So usually the quickest fix here, Paige, is for you to actually close out the browser and retap the link and get back in. It seems like sometimes there's something funky when the internet shuts off, so you can do that. Yeah, no. So just just close out the browser,
close out and
like,
then join the
quit
link
out the
once more.
page and come back. Okay, quit out the page.
Oh,
the web page. So that's unfortunate.
That's
So
her
as she's
placeholder.
saying, her left foot cut out from her, then she cut out. Well, she's back.
She's back.
Kind
Sorry.
of sideways. We'll figure this out.
Oh,
It's not. It's like we're kind of making lighthearted of the moment, obviously, but she's sideways on the screen. You can go on us, Nick. So
Okay.
that way she's not sitting up there. We'll wait for her to get reestablished here. But man,
Evan, how you doing?
Paige,
she's back.
when you hear us, okay, let us know. Like you can. Oh, she's going in and out. Just guys, in sports in general, breaking legs, nugget. Like
In acting,
like-
great.
like is breaking a leg better though than like tearing like your whatever in your leg? You know what I mean? Like, is a bone better?
Okay.
I couldn't tell you.
No one got my
Here's the
acting
thing
joke.
is, my now wife, you know, as we've talked about, is
Tracy?
an athletic trainer. She might be watching right now. She said she'll
Shout
try
out
to tune
Tracy.
in. Yeah, hi Tracy, if you're watching. Sorry to embarrass you. I think is what she tells me is a clean break is generally better than tearing of some sort. And she might correct me right away, but I think breaking your leg is I'm going to say it's better than tearing your ACL. That is a really tough injury to get back from. But it's also how it breaks too. Now that I'm thinking about it more, like I said, clean break, if it breaks in a weird way, it can be a lot worse. So I don't know exactly how it went. You know, I haven't seen Paige Pierce's x-rays and I don't know anything about it to analyze it. But if you were to, you could try to see how bad of a injury it is from a recovery standpoint.
She mentioned surgery, which I'm hoping we'll be able to ask her about here in a minute. It seems like her camera is giving her, or not camera, maybe her internet connection / camera. I can see. Okay, it looks like it's reloaded. Paige, can you hear us? if it's reloaded, it's very delayed for
She
her.
like comes in for a second and then is
And then
gone.
it pops it out.
She mentioned surgery. I'm just gonna try to lower her bandwidth, and not that we have very much on it right now, but I'm gonna try to lower it anyways. Surgery. I'm assuming that's obviously for the better, in the sense of like surgeries usually help make things better. So hopefully that's the case here, where
Yeah.
It-
I mean, I would assume, and I am no medical person whatsoever, but an injury like this, surgery coming on with that injury, are we talking season ending? Are we talking late autumn push, end of September, early October? You know, like
I did ask Tracy what her thoughts were, and obviously it depends a lot on the type of person. Different types of athletes can recover quicker than others, depending on how hard you work in rehab, how quickly the muscles heal back. When you have a clean break and your leg is going to be in a cast for so long, you're going to lose all your strength. So she's going to rebuild that all back, and it's a matter of how quickly she rebuilds it back and how important the strength is needed. Like Tracy worked with football teams. If you're a football player, you need to have a lot more strength in your ankles to get back to playing, and that could be up to a whole year. It's probably a season-ending injury. For disc golf, your ankles are obviously important, but they're not quite that level that football needs. So it's something where it could be 2 months to maybe 4 months, but that's, again, a guess. Maybe Paige can tell us more, or if she's going through rehab, she'll have a better idea, and we'll share that with people.
Yeah, and just to be clear, we're gonna actually end up calling her here. So just sit tight for a minute. You guys can keep talking. I'm gonna get a phone call up, and then I'll interrupt you when we're ready.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, curiosity-wise, Ben, you can throw both Evan and I up if you can do 2 up, if that's a possibility.
Oh, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Well,
Maybe
you can
Ben can't
talk
even hear
first,
me now.
Nick.
Yeah, I mean, I'll go ahead. So when we actually did coursework at Goliath, the course that I live on, one of the things was building bridges, making sure bridges are safe for people. We do have some creeks on that property that we want to make sure people can get over. Now, I did see a picture of the bridge that's in question with the Paige situation, and I'm pretty sure if, you know, she can obviously describe it better, but it instantly arches right away, I think.
Yeah, very significant arch.
Yeah, I have no idea how big the creek is. You know, I have no idea how long the actual bridge itself is. Pictures never do it justice. But I know one of the things when we were building Goliath is, I think in Virginia it's 6 or 7 feet. But if you have 6 or 7 feet of depth below you, you know, if the fall could go that low, then we had to build handrails. So on the 18th hole at Goliath, we actually do have a bridge with handrails on it for that specific reason.
Okay, we have Paige. We have Paige on the phone call.
All right,
Paige, can you hear us?
She
Okay.
can hear us.
Yes, I can hear you all. Yes.
Perfect. So we'll use a
All
phone
right.
call instead of the internet. How about that?
Sure. Yep.
Okay, if this works for you. So you were telling us about walking down and your left foot slipped out from below you, and kind of that's where you were at. If you want to try to pick it back up, how it went down. No pun intended, how it went down.
Yeah. Yeah, it was just like, it was my last step, you know, like the end was in sight, and my left foot just kind of like slid, and yeah, I tried to like catch my fall, and you know, hindsight, I'm like, man, if I just would have let myself fall, maybe I just would have hit my butt, you know. But anyway, in the moment of time, like I tried to stop myself from falling, and I don't really like know how, but it just like it just made like a really crazy noise, like a popping sound, and I knew before I even hit the ground, like I never felt anything like that or heard anything. And then I actually then because I was slipping, my weight was all going forward because the bridge is kind of like downhill. Like I ended up landing on my foot again, so like my foot was underneath my butt when I like eventually hit the ground, and I heard it pop again. Yeah, so yeah, just excruciating pain, and like I said, I just knew something was wrong in the moment. Like Missy was right behind me. She said that in the moment she was also on the bridge, and she said, you know, I just can't believe like it was that bad, because like it just looked like a normal fall, you know, like someone falls, they sprain their ankle, or they, something, but like for it to be that bad just was kind of freak accident, I think. But yeah, it ends up like it's broken in 3 different spots, and it was also dislocated, and yeah, so it was also just crazy being in a foreign country, and having to go to a hospital in a foreign country was kind of a crazy thing. Like, actually, you can't just go to the hospital in Norway. You have to get recommended by a doctor. So, yeah, we had to drive to Vestnes and go to a doctor, get recommended, then drive like an hour into Ålesund and go to the hospital. But got x-rays and CT scans, and they were able to relocate it, I guess is kind of the correct term, I guess. I'm not sure, but just like kind of put it back into its proper placement and put the cast on it to like keep it in alignment. And yeah, they recommended me to go home and get the surgery here because like the way it works is like it's too swollen for surgery right away. So you have to wait for the swelling to go down. And they said, between 6 and 14 days, like, but you want to get it as soon as possible. But obviously with the swelling up, it like, they said it makes the incisions harder. So anyway, yeah, I actually got home late last night and went to the doctor here this morning, and they did some more x-rays, and he said, honestly, everything, like the doctors in Norway did a really good job getting it back in alignment. He said it looks perfectly straight and where it should be, and the swelling's doing better, but he said we're going to give it a few more days and let the swelling go all the way down, and then have surgery scheduled next Tuesday. Yeah.
So
have the doctors talked much on, obviously, I mean, it sounds like kind of a major surgery for the 3 different breaks that you have. Have they talked about any sort of timeline with, I guess, any of this, or is it still too early to tell?
Yeah, I mean, they gave me a little bit of a timeline, but it's kind of like, we'll have to, this is like hopeful and we'll have to see and stuff. But, yeah, so surgery, after surgery, it will be like 6 weeks before they want me to put any weight on it at all. And then at that 6-week mark, we can kind of, I'll go back in there and assess it. We'll take whatever kind of casting they have off and try to get me into like some sort of boot. But then it's going to be slow going for like, just like, listening to the body, like how much weight can we put on it? And then he said like 10 weeks is like the hopeful of like when I can get back to any sort of like athletic activity. And that's, but on the forms you have to fill out your occupation and stuff. And I put, professional disc golfer, and he's like, yeah, I see that you're an athlete. He's like, I don't mean that by like, you're going to be competing again at 10 weeks, but, I mean, in a perfect world, maybe, but like 10 weeks is athletic activity. He's meaning like physical therapy starting and trying to get the strength back and the balance. He said the balance is going to be something to shoot for, balance and strengthening. So I mean, my brain's hearing 10 weeks. Okay, cool. Scary, but still cool. To, think that there's a possibility of maybe playing another event or 2 this season, but I also don't want to get my hopes up and like be disappointed, because in the moment of hearing the snaps, like I know in that moment I'm not playing PCS, I'm not playing European Open, and like the amount of pain I was in, I was like, my brain was like, okay, what is today? Middle of July, August, September. Oh, I don't think I'm playing Worlds, like just, before even talking to a doctor, is just like trying to like get over the disappointment before somebody tells me. And then I'm just like, dealing with my emotions in front of people. So yeah, So anyway, hopefully 10 weeks, but I wouldn't be surprised if it's the rest of the season. But yeah.
So, quick question: have you ever broken a bone before?
No, it's my first time in the hospital. Never broken a bone, never anything, never even had like an IV. So I was just like, and that's kind of what I meant by the scariest thing. Like, it's scary just, laying on the ground, knowing like you can't get up, and, like not knowing what your future holds, and not knowing like what any kind of procedures are like in a hospital. Like, I've never been to a hospital. And then to like also to be in a foreign country and to not know what they're saying to each other. And, I don't want to like say that they did a bad job. They actually did really good, like as far as communicating it to me. And like, after I removed myself from the hospital, I was like, wow, I'm actually kind of glad that was mostly in Norwegian, because I would have been more scared, like hearing all the terminology, and, it made it more real if I would have been able to understand it all. But yeah, the whole thing was just scary. Like, I mean, I have like a real fear of like anything going into my vein like that, like an IV. Every time I watch a movie or something and they got IVs, I'm like, I can't even look at the screen. So yeah, I was I was definitely a baby, screaming and crying, and yeah, didn't take it too well, I don't think, but they were all very nice.
I'm glad you're I'm glad you're laughing in this moment, Paige. I just put a smile on my face, but that had to be horrible. And then what do you do? You're Paige Pierce. You're competitive. You're driven, from what we see, especially from a fan's perspective. What do you do with a broken leg? Like, I know you're only 5 days in. Like, are you getting into, like, are you doing lots of board games? Like, what are you going to do? Have you thought through this? Do you have a plan?
No, I mean, literally, like I said, I just got home late last night. So, like I said, the first 3 days were just excruciating pain. It was kind of just like, this it sounds crazy to say it out loud, but like, just like wishing the days would end, like, because the pain just wouldn't stop. And, just like not wanting to be in my body, and just like wanting to just sleep the day away, but I feel very fortunate to be out of that part of it, and be like, I'm not even, the past 2 days I haven't even taken any like even Tylenol or anything. So to feel like I can manage my pain now, and to also like be back in my home, and to like feel some sort of comfort, because like, geez, yesterday was crazy, being like airport traveling, like 3 different airports, and, being on a flight for 9 hours, and it was, crazy. But, so today's really been my first day, living this new chapter. And even this morning, we were at the hospital for 4 hours with the surgery, or with the x-rays and consultation and all that. So I think the new reality is just kind of setting in, and I actually had a little bit of an Amazon shopping spree of like broken leg accessories. Because just like I mean, you guys know the competitive side of me and stuff, but like I'm very independent, and just like never really sit still. Just kind of like always doing something, even if I don't have anything to do. I'm just like making something up to do, and obsessive about, things being in the right space and stuff. And so like not being able to get up as frequently and stuff. So anyway, I bought one of my accessories I bought was I don't know if you've seen these like scooters, like I think they're called knee scooters.
Yes.
Yeah. So they actually gave me one for free today at the doctor, which I thought was awesome. Like just to rent, like to get through it until after surgery. But I ended up buying one on Amazon that has all-terrain wheels, so that maybe I could go play. I'm not going to do anything crazy, but just like, and then I can be on grass a little bit maybe, and like maybe throw a sidearm or two.
Get a battery powered one.
No, yeah, I don't want to be able to go fast. I feel like that could get crazy. And like I thought about, oh, cool, we can walk the dogs, but like I don't want them to be pulling me. So yeah, I'm still trying to figure out what life looks like. But I can get around my house pretty well with a scooter and go to the bathroom by myself now. And I wish it was my left arm. Missy was making a joke. I could have just got a cast and like put it up in the air and like changed my form to like Garrett Gerthy form, and it would have been still competing.
Hey, I just saw the PDGA. I just saw the PDGA post this, like, I don't know the right word here, but for people with disabilities that are in wheelchairs, they just posted this like new addendum to a rule that says players can play in wheelchairs now, and they actually have wording for how to establish a lie between like the two front wheels and everything. So you can look up that rule, get out there in a wheelchair and play.
That's crazy. Well, I mean, with my left leg, it's like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to compete with one leg. Definitely not. But yeah, I think it'll help me with my sidearms. You know, I can just kneel on the scooter and work on my angles and such.
Wow. All right, Nick,
Can you refresh my memory quick, Paige?
Nick.
Was it in the chat's asking this as well, and I might have totally missed it, but was it your left leg or your right leg?
Yeah, it's my left ankle, and it's yes, all three. There's like 3 bones that are in the ankle. It's unfortunately all 3 of them.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, but on the left one. Okay, gotcha. Thank you.
Yeah.
I know we had multiple comments in the chat just asking about that. So.
Yeah, I think it will be a blessing that it's my left one, because all I'm going to be doing is like pushing the weight off it and not rotating on it. So yeah, just also kind of like working through all those thoughts, and well, I mean, just it's kind of hard to predict what's going to happen, and just going to have to see how my body reacts to the surgery and how I feel like I'm like athletic, and you know, hopefully my body's done me well up to this point, so hopefully she heals well and throwing disc soon.
Yeah. Obviously respond with no comment if you have no comment, but during this whole situation, news came out in the FPO division. Do you have any comment on that? Have you heard about it, or have you been traveling and aren't aware?
Yes, definitely heard about it. Yeah. Pretty crazy timing too, like, you know, the day after. So
yeah,
I've been trying to not let it affect me. I feel like it's a mental test for me. You know, I feel devastated and blindsided and lots of emotions, but you know, it doesn't actually affect me because of my leg.
Yeah, it's
so
crazy.
I'm trying to my best to not let it mentally affect me, but you know, my heart still goes out for everybody that it does affect, and you know, affects a lot of people, not just players, you know, fans and tournament directors and sponsors and the Pro Tour and Natalie, and like there's so many people affected by this decision, and yeah, it's crazy that it's come to this, and it's really sad for the sport of disc golf, I feel.
Yeah, and again, I know it's such short notice, both your leg breaking and this news, so it's hard to have a strong like reaction, or it's easy to have a reaction, but I know you're such a positive thinker. Are you thinking, have you had time to think anything positive about this yet? Both, I guess, both the broken leg or the news of FPO. Yours, and maybe, you know, in these times, it's not the right time to ask you to think to be positive, but I just know that about you. Have you had any of those moments yet? Is there anything you could share with us?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a tough situation, because you know, you like from a spectator's perspective, like they're going to have to now choose, like with the events being so close together, distance wise, like I think they're shooting for like 90 minutes or an hour and a half. 2 hours of distance from event to event. You know, the spectators are going to have to choose where to go. And so I think it's going to create a division in, you know, where the fans are. And that also brings in a lot of, I don't see too many positives coming from it right now. I just see a lot of separated talent as far as like the media crews. I see a lot of logistical issues, but you know, I feel like I have faith in the Pro Tour that they've, you know, made it this far. You know, look at the growth that we've had since the time that the Pro Tour has been established, and I feel like it was kind of a rash decision, at least from what I know. You know, none of us were prepped of any of this, but you know, they've always thrown disc golf, so I have to assume that they know what they're doing, and hopefully, you know, while I can't see any positives right now, that, you know, something's hidden there that I just haven't thought of yet.
Yeah, and it's I guess it's fair. You're on a podcast for me to ask you, but it's hard. You just went through broken leg and travel and everything else. It's like whatever you just answered, we won't even hold you to it. You know, you're probably still not in the right mindset. No, I don't know. You're not on super heavy pain meds right now?
I said was completely no.
Okay.
I think everything I just said I would stand by.
Okay, cool.
I don't know why anybody would ever think any differently. You know, like, there is a lot of challenges and problems that are already occurring from this. But like I said, I think the Pro Tour they're very professional, you know, and they know how to handle things. So I got to hope it's in our best interest, and that's all I can do. You know, they're my bosses. So I don't have a job if it's not for the Pro Tour. So hopefully they see the light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. So anyways, a lot is happening, and you have significant life things happening. We're really appreciative that you'd come on and talk about it. I know listeners of our show, and I'm sure fans of yours, wanted to understand more so they can root for you in a specific way. And now we know how to do that, and the timeline it's associated with that. Is there any way that you, Paige Pierce, the competitor, would be encouraged by our listeners? Like, is it messages? Is it thoughts? How can they do that for you?
I think just talking to me like normal, like this is not my whole life, even though it maybe kind of seemingly is. But yeah, I just going to the players party, the final day of the PCS, you know, just everyone walking up to me with just like pity, and I understand it, and I think I would do the same. You know, when something bad happens to someone, it's like it's hard to find what to say, and it's like, just, you know, don't worry about saying sorry or you feel bad, or, you know, just talk to me like normal, and just maybe try to make me laugh or something like that.
We'll think of things that make you laugh. Yeah.
I hope in some way, somehow, with all this going on, that if you get the green light and you're able to even attend an event, be able to go up and hang out. I don't know how any of that will work, but we do hope that this doesn't, you know, completely sideline you from the sport of disc golf just at all. And if you're ever bored on Monday nights, we'd love to have you on the show whenever you want to talk about just anything, realistically.
She has the hotline now. Yeah. Save this phone number.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm going to try to make it to some events. Obviously, that would be well after surgery. But yeah, I mean, I feel like I got to see who wins Worlds, you know, like I feel like I might try to make that happen if it's feasible. But yeah, we'll just have to wait and see, you know, at least until after surgery, what's recommended and all that. So.
I know one way that all of our listeners right now could help out Paige Pierce and support her in any way is going to Paige's website. Paige, I'll let you say exactly what it is, but just going on and supporting her by buying a disc, some apparel. Discraft has some awesome collabs with Paige. Check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely PaigePierce.com, and I have all kinds of like merch on there, and then lots of discs too. And we have a release, I think it's on the 26th. So got some like new Jawbreaker Z Fierces coming, and a new Passion as well for Ledgestone. So yeah, definitely check those out when they drop, I think next week. So
Hell yeah.
thank you guys so much.
Yeah, absolutely,
problem.
Paige. Thank you very much for your time. And we wish you the best. I was going to say get better quick, but you can only do it as quick as you can. So we wish the best. for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
All right.
Take it easy, Paige.
Everybody, Paige
Bye-bye.
Pierce taking the time to join our show. Totally appreciative of that.
Yeah. Sorry about the no video call with her. The internet was being a little bit wonky on her side, and to get the best interview that we could with her, just a phone call works just as well.
Yeah. A lot of our
It makes no difference to our post audio
they're
listeners.
like, what are you talking about? It's the same thing.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I also think it's worth noting that in the broadcast final round of the PCS Open for FPO, Paige Pierce did make an appearance. I think she was on one of the scooters she was talking about, probably a different one because it was in Norway, of some sort. Made an appearance on the course around hole 18, the general area of the course. The broadcast drone was showing her. It was a very cool moment as the tournament was kind of wrapping up. I know it was pretty early morning for lots of people over here in the States, but it was very cool to see. So if she makes an appearance at Worlds, we get to see a little cameo. That'd be very cool, but wish her the best in the recovery, and not going to hold her to that because that's still a pretty tough thing to do while you're in a cast or in a boot and recovering.
Absolutely. And I kind of want to go back, and we don't always pick apart our interviews, but that's navigating obviously a sensitive situation for her in all aspects, very personal, private, her life's public in a lot of ways, but broken legs, and just hearing about everything that's involved with the recovery. I'm really appreciative she did that. Then for me to kind of ask her, I gave her an out. I said, you can say no comment. I mean, but she she decided to kind of say a little bit on the idea of FPO and her feelings on it. I know she's a very positive thinker. So I kind of asked like, hey, Paige, give us the positive side. That's how you are. And she struggled to do that, or said she couldn't right now. I want to give everybody that opportunity to say what they want to say on it. I already mentioned, there are a group of FPO players who feel like this is unfortunate. They're not really happy with it, but they're supportive. Paige did say that. She did say she has to believe that the Pro Tour has the best interest here. And so she's going to stand behind that right now. But I did say one thing, and it's just the nature of a live show. I was like, hey, we won't hold anything against you that you just said. Like, and I was just trying to say off, like, be nice. Like, hey, like, you're on the spot with this stuff. Like, we won't. And I think she was a little bit taken back. Like, why would I care? Like, I just said what I meant. Yeah. And I just want to say, like, I wasn't trying to imply anything there. I just wanted to be nice and give her that opportunity to say, listen, like, you're going through a lot right now. But that's interesting to hear her perspective on that as well. Obviously very invested as a competitive FPO player. Wow. That's the first injury interview we've had. That's incredible. Like, wow.
Yeah.
I was like shuddering at some of that stuff.
Me too. Intern Ben here. Hi.
I thought we fired you.
What?
Again?
Where's your studio?
I'm right here.
But if you go to him on studio, we don't hear anyone else.
Yeah. You don't.
Gotcha.
But yeah, just like, that's why I just feel very bad for just thinking about what happens. Like, it made me like, oh my goodness. So,
imagine, I've never had that feeling, and I get why it'd be so scary, that feeling of not being able to get up.
She heals fast.
Like, hey, I can't get up. Like, that is scary. That'd be really scary.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. I do want to say I stand with Paige that IV's scary. Like, things going in your body scary. Broken bones. Like, I don't want. It freaks me out.
Do you donate blood, Evan?
I would love to, but I too freaked out by it. Like,
really?
It's honestly like
I'm close to that, Evan. I'm probably halfway between you and Nick. Then, like, I do not do it unless I have to.
I could care less. If I have a chance to donate blood, I donate blood wherever I go. Like, if I know a blood run is happening somewhere, or like when I was in college, we did one, I think twice a year. High school, we did them, and I happily donate.
That's not my choice. I'll do it, and I'll try to. It
usually meant I got out of class early too, so that might have been one of the reasons. I've never been
cookies. Do they not? Like,
yeah, well, you had Yeah, you had to eat cranberry juice, I'm pretty sure, and then or apple juice, one or the other, but they're both amazing. And then they gave you cookies because obviously you're, I don't know,
You
but
need more blood back in your body, and best way to do that's cookies.
yeah, I'm down with cookies,
Or
man.
just vampire it.
Probably not going to do that.
Nope.
Okay, let's move
Interview
into.
with the this will turn into Interview with the Vampire.
I'm
All
actually.
good movie people will know that.
We flipped the show, and Evan, if you have a minute or you're ready, I mean, you have a minute, but if you're ready, would you give us the recap of what happened this past weekend or week? A lot. I think Master Worlds, PCS Open, and there might have been a few others that pros played at, but not on tour. So whatever you have for a recap, we'll take it. Then we have a few segments to close out with that I think are fairly entertaining. So go ahead, Evan.
Yeah, I'll keep it a little bit on the lighter side. It won't be the full recaps I normally give since we are so late in the show, but I will still give a lot of good things and try to get to at least the quick part of everything. I mean, we interviewed Paul McBeth, and that one's pretty obvious. He won the PCS Open. It was first elite win of the year, as you said, Matt. It was 315 days since his last elite or major win, which was a pretty good win, as he said himself, 2022 Worlds. But let's talk about FPO, because although we interviewed Paige and we talked about the PCS Open, the show has never once said who won that event, but it was indeed Kristen Tatar. She entered the tournament. She entered the final round, with a 3-stroke lead. She is now 13 for 13, closing out an event on tour with a 3-stroke lead into the final round. But that makes it sound easier than it was. She was ahead of Missy Gannon. Missy Gannon tied it up, I think, by hole 8, and then kind of was a back and forth battle. Kristen getting back ahead, Missy tying it up, all sorts of craziness. Kristen Tatar had 3 bogeys in a row, which was the first time she's done that in a while. I think it was Open at Austin this season was the only other time she has done that. But ultimately, Kristen Tatar holds on for a 1-stroke victory. It's her 6th elite major of the season. That ties her career best with last year, of course, as people would guess. One more win and she'll have a better season as far as wins goes than last season, which was already so incredible. It's her 9th Euro Tour win. This event, being a DGPT elite event, was also a PDGA Euro Tour, was a combo event, points count for both tours. And with it being her 9th Euro Tour win, she now has the most FPO Euro Tour wins in history. I don't have the name in front of me, so I'm sorry, but passing another player I got to find the name. Hold on. Natalie Holokoy. I think that's close. I think I got
confidence
it this time.
Confidence is key with these names. Just confidence.
Yeah. And she had 8 wins in Euro Tour wins from 2013 to 2016 timeframe. So a little bit ago, believe it or not. Then let's talk about the rest of MPO too. Well, I guess the rest of both. I only said the winners. This is kind of all over the place. But Paul mentioned James Proctor. He came into the final round, tied for the lead with Calvin Heimberg. As Paul was kind of alluding to, Calvin Heimberg struggled with the putter. He was missing makeable putts for even Ben, who is complaining about his putting as of today. And I don't mean that to rip on Calvin, but just to explain the situation. He just didn't have it for about probably the front 9 or first 12 holes before he kind of got it back and finished on the podium still. But James Proctor looking fantastic before McBeast just came back and caught him. But Proctor was looking for his first win on tour of his career, but ultimately did not get it. Let's see. Eagle McMahon also had a solid event. He was on lead card in second round, ultimately finished 4th place. And we saw Ricky Wysocki take 5th, although it was a pretty quiet 5th place, if I'm going to be honest about Ricky. He's going into coming off the win at Preserve, first event in Europe. You know, maybe people will give him a pass. Maybe people expect more out of him. But I will say, as we head into the major this coming week, that's a big thing for Rick. He, of course, has said he cares about all Disc Golf Pro Tour majors all the same. If the field's there, it's all the same. But at the same time, he has not won a major since 2017. It's been, I think, 14 or 15 events from him, all great finishes, or maybe not all, but a lot of very good finishes at majors, but hasn't gotten that win. Actually, I pulled it up just today. Since Ricky Wysocki's last major win, Paul McBeth has 6 major titles. which isn't crazy. In FPO, definitely worth mentioning, Evelina Salonen had a fantastic event. She finished in 3rd place. Heidi Lane finished in 4th. I think I said that right. That's her best elite major of her career. And Sarah Hookham rounds it out in 5th. But I do want to mention one more name. Ida Emily Nesse finished 6th. I believe she's 15 years old. She's only 874 rated. She made the lead card in the final round. She ended up finishing 6th in a cashing position, but declined cash. So she is having aspirations to stay an amateur. She's only 15, a long career in front of her if she wishes. That's incredibly cool to see. But with her being from Norway, Evelina Salonen being from Finland, Missy Gannon being from the United States, and Krista Tatar being from Estonia, this was the first time at a I think I said all elite or majors. I forget exactly what the stat is. I'm winging it here. But the first time we have seen 4 different nationalities represented on the final round lead card at elite or majors. This is definitely a least disc golf pro tour lead, but I believe it was elite or majors all time, which is unreal. Like that it hasn't happened, but also a very cool thing that it did end up happening. I want to swing it over to 2 more events. We have Master Worlds and Turku. But if you guys have any responses, I
have to talk about a different event right now. And I'm going to bring up the Lost Valley Open A tier that just happened because down in Pennsylvania, 2 of our boys from Massachusetts, Kyle Wadsworth Moriarty and Paul Kranz, went into an epic playoff at an A tier down there. Kyle is one of my favorite people in all of disc golf, and I've become very good friends with Paul as of recent.
Amateur
since he's gotten into the sport. What's that?
Amateur world champion Paul Kranz.
Amateur world champion Paul Kranz. Awesome dude, both from Massachusetts. Anyways, Kyle was one of my favorite people, or excuse me, is one of my favorite people, but was one of the first competitors in disc golf when I first kind of got competitive in the AM2, AM1 days, and was just one of the nicest people ever to me. And we've been very, very good friends for a number of years now. But after 13 years of playing, he finally got his first A tier win. So to Kyle Wadsworth Moriarty, I love you, man. Great win. And Paul Kranz shot like a 1083 final round to force the playoff.
14 down.
So shout out to him.
Heard it was a course record.
Oh my God, I'm sure. If you're shooting 1083 almost anywhere, not on the Pro Tour, it's
You
probably a course record.
You ever play AGA Farms?
Not yet. I've only played
incredible.
one course. No, I've played 2
awesome.
courses in Pennsylvania.
It is awesome. It's got to be my favorite course I've ever played in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, I have heard incredible things about it. And
Is that like Philly area or like northeastern or central or
it's
western?
Closer
like give me a rough idea.
Okay, I'm probably way off, but it is closer. It is
Perkasie.
closer to the Philly side. I think it's north of there though. It's north
Like
of there.
Scranton area?
No,
Or like in between the two?
No, I want to say it's still further.
I don't know Pennsylvania geography that well, but at least know.
Okay. Generally within a few hours.
Cities.
Yes.
Okay. Either way, it's a hike from here. So, but very
it
cool.
is south of Easton.
Yeah.
It is north of Philly.
That's what I was trying to say originally. It's a little bit north
I would say
of Philly.
probably a little over an hour north of Philly is what it looks like.
All right. Very cool.
Very
6
cool.
hours away from where I am right now. Anyways, go ahead on the big events that happened though.
Yeah, well, I'll swing it over to Turku first, and then we'll hit Masters Worlds because we have to mention that as well. Turku was a European Pro Tour event, and Paul kind of alluded to that. You know, he isn't totally sure, and that the players might not totally be sure, and that's totally understandable. I'm not even 100% sure what the players feel either, but I do want to explain a little bit behind it. Turku was a European Pro Tour event. This was a tour that started last year. Think of it in a similar vein as the Disc Golf Pro Tour. They're a private entity trying to make a tour, a continental tour for Europe. Kind of follows the same general structure that the Disc Golf Pro Tour was. They have live stream events. They have Disc Golf Stream. They have a championship at the end of the year, I believe in Spain. Or maybe it's an All-Stars, technically it's called, but the same idea. They operate all throughout Europe, but they do have some events in Finland. Then the Euro Tour is the PDGA Euro Tour. It's similar to what the National Tour was for many years, and when there's kind of that crossover from 2016 to 2021, minus 2020 with COVID, there's the crossover, and there's kind of 2 tours. The schedule's somewhat matched. Somewhat mesh together well, as in there weren't crossover events. But the opposite has been happening in Europe, where there's the season's a lot shorter, their summer's a lot shorter, so they just jam pack all these events in real quick. So there's been events every single week just about on both tours. There is one more called the Prodigy Disc Pro Tour. That's a very good tour. You'll see it on UDisc as well. That is a Finnish national tour. I believe it is technically a private entity. I don't know if it's owned by Prodigy or if they're just the main sponsor. It's had different names in the past, so it might just be a main sponsor. But they're only in Finland, and they have a little bit of a shorter season, only 6 or so events, but it's generally very good fields. It's not just Finnish players. You see Mari Vilman play a handful of those, and I think he won a few. Maybe he won European Pro Tours, and I'm mixing it up. But a lot of different tours, a lot of different events happening. Europe has a ton of good courses, as we know, so in a ton of good spots to host tournaments. So it is a lot of craziness. But this event specifically was powered by Prodigy, so I believe that had a big hand in a few big Americans sponsored by Prodigy playing in this event. Isaac Robinson played it, Alden Harris, and I think there was one more American that played it. But the story of this was they kind of didn't play super well over in Europe. The best American of the bunch was Isaac Robinson, who finished in 8th. He was 10 strokes back the winner, Jesse Nieminen. Did I say that right? Nieminen.
I think
I'm
maybe.
probably saying too much. Yeah, no, I think you're right. Where he won it by 4 strokes. Second place was a sub 1,000 rated player, which I think speaks more to what a great finish than it was a weak field, because it was a very good field for a Europe event. It was Lari Hamalainen, and then Michael Hame, who's very good, Yunus Altu, Christian Kuoksa. I'm naming all these players who are very good. Mari Vilman, who's won a bunch of events this year, finished in 8th. Bino Makala in 10th. Ezra Robinson in 15th. There he is. Very cool that there's so many opportunities to play, but it does make it a little bit confusing for all the different events. To swing it over at FPO, we saw Rachel Turton take it down. Silva Saarinen finished in 3rd. She's one of a lot of events recently. Rachel Turton is from the UK, and I believe she played in the PCS Silver event last year, but chose to go to Turku instead. If I'm being honest, as the Americans all flooded to PCS Open, I bet you it might have been smarter to go over here, get a top 10 finish compared to finishing in the 30s. I mean, maybe that's selling them short, but like it's not a given to make a top 20. You have to really earn it, and it's not a given to make a top 10 in Turkey. But I think people understand where I'm going, is that it could have been a cost analysis play on which event to play. To swing it back actually to PCS Open real quick, there's only one European player in the MPO top 10. It was, I have it right here, Hjalmar Fredriksson. He finished tied for 9th. All Americans otherwise in the top 10 of the MPO final placing. And then I missed this too, but I want to mention it. Paul Ulibarri finished 11th. Great finish for him, but it was also his 200th Elite or Major start. He is the first player to ever hit 200 Elite or Majors in Pro Open, whether MPO or FPO. And of course, with that, he's also has the most all-time starts of anyone in MPO or FPO at Elite or Majors. Very cool, big accomplishment for him. But speaking,
who is second in that? Do you have any idea?
I think it's Paul McBeth, because okay. I would have to double check. But I think he's at like 196, because Paul Ulibarri and Paul McBeth both tied Dave Feldberg for the. Dave Feldberg had the most. Yeah. I think he's around like 192, 193 now, because he's played a few events, or at least Champions Cup. They tied him.
I just got a text message saying Hjalmar just turned 16 as well. Hjalmar. I went to the restroom really quick, so I totally missed what you were saying for the last 2 minutes.
That's funny.
But
I didn't know.
I did get a text saying he just turned 16.
Yeah, and he was I think he was a lefty as well. But yeah, that's.
Okay. Oh, was that the lefty that was killing it over at PCS?
Yeah, I think
like
so.
They showed him on coverage a couple times, and they were saying he was 15 or 16. Okay.
Yeah, that would be the same guy. He was playing pretty well. I think he fell later in the tournament down to 9th.
Yeah. Oh my God, down to 9th at an Elite Series event.
Yes, of course. Yeah, it's meant to be that. It was even better before. Yeah. So yes, thank you, Nick, for making better emotion on that.
I got you.
All right, that was a little wild, but let's bring it over to Masters Worlds. I think I only want to cover just MP FP40. There's a lot other stats, a lot of other long time major winners showing up. And now that I'm saying it, I do want to mention FP50 as well.
Same.
So
I was going to mention it if you didn't.
But let's start with Owen Scoggins, who won FP40 by 15. I think is it her third straight FP40 Worlds or FP40 Major title? I forget which one. But
probably
big victory
third
for Owen.
FP40 Major title. If I was doing a trivia game, that's what I'd say.
Yeah. I've said so many things right now that I'm kind of going a little bit empty in the brain, so I don't want to say anything wrong. But over in MP40, we had Joe Revere, who's now won back-to-back with Kale Laviska, excuse me. I've been mispronouncing all these European names, and then I know how to pronounce Kale's, and then I mispronounce it too. He finishes in second, which I'm almost rooting for Kale to win these, but it's super cool to see Joe Revere win it as well. Of course, being a huge name in Colorado. Not that I know him or played with him or anything, but playing in Colorado, it's cool to see people doing well from Colorado. But of course, we see, Eagle McMahon, Aaron Gossage, Joel Freeman, all these players do super well. But Derek White, are you kidding me? Yes, Ben. Thank you. But let's cover FP50. Oh my goodness.
Go Buffs.
I don't have any buff stuff on my wall because it's so empty, which actually this will be the last episode in this apartment, which is very cool.
Wow.
As you can see by
we're doing a giveaway. We're leaking Evan's new address, so you got to subscribe for it.
Yeah, and like this TV is going if people want it. No, I'm just kidding. I don't know. Maybe not.
Look into the camera. Tell us about your apartment and its emptiness.
FP50 winner, Ben. We're not talking about my apartment anymore. We are talking about Juliana Korver, who won by 28 strokes in FP50. Very, very, very cool. Juliana Korver, we had her on the show for finishing third at an elite event earlier this year, and she goes on to take down an FP50 major by a whole heck of a lot of strokes.
Wow, that was epic. And usually it happens at the beginning of the show, and it's like that starts the show off on the right foot. But Paul McBeth started the show off on the right foot tonight, so that was cool too. So where do we go from here? I think we move into a few topics. We have a little bit of time left. First of all, shout out to New Zealanders. Now, the reason I say that is because I forgot to shout them out after my week at Junior Worlds and Worlds. I had a group from New Zealand, and I totally apologize. I don't remember every name, and I don't remember all the names from my friends now in New Zealand. But there was one of them, Nick, and I hope he gets a real kick out of this right now, that he's hearing his story on air. But when he came up to meet me and he said, I can't do the New Zealand accent. It's really cool.
Yeah, don't try it.
Like, is New Zealand accent like it's in the movie like Jurassic Park, like that kind of an accent? Like, I don't know. Like,
well, it's just like a spin-off of Australia, which also explains the country too.
Are you the friend of Nick Carl?
No.
Okay. He did something along those lines.
That sounded more Russian or German.
Okay, how about this? Crikey, look, we got here.
That's Steve Irwin.
Yeah, well, that's okay.
Let's go American.
All right, American. Hamburgers. Okay. So he walks up to me and he says in the New Zealand accent, which is awesome. We love it. He says, oh, sorry. I'm trying to do the accent.
Yeah, don't do it.
Okay. And he because it's so prevalent to my mind in this story. And he goes, are you the friend of Nick Carl? And that's how he introduced himself to me. And I said, yes, I am. And he thought that was awesome, just rubbing my face that it's the Nick and Matt show. Are you the friend of Nick Carl? Yes, I am. And he's never met you before, but he thought that was a blast, and I did too. I thought that was really funny.
Yeah.
And I
you remember his name?
I don't, but he said that he's out in like the middle of nowhere, New Zealand. And I think he said he was in like, I want to say it was like a wood mill. I'm remembering parts of this. Like he's literally out in like the I don't know, the lowlands or whatever you want to call it. He's like, just imagine, he says, the Nick and Matt show broadcasting out in the middle of nowhere, New Zealand, loudly while I work in my like shop. And I'm like, that's awesome. Thank you.
How old were they?
These were amateur players, so I don't know their age. Okay. They were definitely in our age range. And then
Okay, gotcha.
they had another group from New Zealand, that a guy that lived out in the U.S., traveled out there. They have a podcast, and if I remembered the name of the podcast, I'd shout it out. But it's from New Zealand. It's all about New Zealand disc golf. And
Gotcha.
he says they often during their show be like, we were listening on the Nick and Matt show, and they're talking about this, and then they bring up topics. So they appreciate what we're doing here.
Well, to the people who said, you know, are you the guy that's friends with Nick Carl? If you reach out to us on Instagram, I will gladly send you a disc.
Yes.
Just for, you know, doing that to Matt, because it was
awesome.
hilarious.
It was
so
awesome.
Please reach out on Instagram.
Like, people were
and I don't know
coming
how
up
we're
and
going to
saying
prove
hi.
it, but
you're gonna get a heck of a lot of requests now.
Hey, that's good, because we need a heck of a lot of Instagram notifications and social media impressions. You want to know why, everybody? If you weren't tuning into the show earlier, we have a massive $2,200 worth giveaway, 2 VIP tickets to the MVP Open. One of the things you got to do, you got to subscribe to the YouTube channel. The other thing you got to do is post us on all your social medias, tag us and everything, talk about the show, talk about how much you love or hate us, talk about how it's the Nick and Mike show or the Nick and Evan show, the Nick and Matt show, whoever. Talk to us, tag us and stuff. We have an awesome giveaway going on, and it's very, very well worth it. But you have to be subscribed to the channel first and foremost. So
yes,
shout out New Zealand as well.
It was just cool. I mean, people were coming up, and I always feel super humbled and like just happy to meet people. But people were coming up and saying, "Hi, Matt. Like, it's so cool. I love the show."
Yeah.
And then this one guy, he thought he would be real funny, and he goes, "Are you the friend of Nick Carl?"
Yeah.
It was awesome. So that's cool. Also, we still have some cool topics to close out with, but we're getting a little bit of this stuff out of the way. We have decided, or I have decided, but with the inspiration of intern Ben, I have a kind of home course. Like, technically, if you play all the tee pads to the baskets, like there's got to be like 20 something holes. You know, it's like 8 baskets, like 8 tee pads kind of thing. And some of the holes actually go over 400 feet, but it's all played on just over an acre. So you got to imagine how crazy this is. But we're doing a home course tournament. It is going to be very small. It's invite only, which now you're like, well, why are you telling us about it?
You got to pay us a lot of money.
Yeah, that's how we invite you. No, if you are a super fan, or you feel like you are, and you message us and say, hey, I'm really interested. I think I'd like to participate. September 9th. We are only opening this up for 5-spot invite for our listeners. The rest are, I'm not going to say who, but Nick, you might make it up. Intern Ben will be there.
I'll be there.
Evan plans to be there.
I should be up there.
I'll be there. So this is going to be like picture like hanging out. I'll tell you one of the guys. You know, barbecue it. Craig. He's got a YouTube channel with 10 times as many subscribers as us. We're going to be doing meat. It's going to be a barbecue, a cookout while we have a disc golf tournament in a backyard. So it should be a great, great time hanging out, just socializing and enjoying the time. If that's something you want to do, reach out, message us. You don't just get in. Like, we are going to actually pick 5 people. And I'm sorry, that's not very many, but 5 listeners, 5 supporters of the show to come and join us on that day. So let us know if that's you. We'll fill those 5 spots really quickly. If you don't hear back from us right away, it doesn't mean you're not in. It just means we're taking our time to get back to you. So just sit tight. September 9th.
Yeah.
Okay. That is that. There's so many things to talk about, but I want to do a fun one here, and let's just get it out of the way. Top 5 courses on the Disc Golf Pro Tour that you think are top 5 for you. You don't have to convince us that it is. I mean, maybe we'll razz you if you pick something stupid.
Evan's top course is just like a nice short tee pad, short baskets. That's his favorite.
Maple red.
Nice little,
that's his
nice
favorite.
little beginner course.
Okay.
The most
No
popular
long
one to
par
introduce
threes.
people.
Here we go. Here we go. So this is not meant to debate, is it a top 5 or not? This is meant to just get our feelings out there. Ben, do you have ready?
Yeah.
Okay. We're just going to go around and give one, not in any order. Ben, what's one of your top 5?
I might be a little biased. Maple Hill.
Okay, let's just get it out of the way. Did anybody else pick Maple Hill?
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Okay,
had Maple
me too.
Hill in my top 5.
We should have made that rule. No Maple Hill.
Okay.
I'm kidding.
Yeah,
We all
so now
had
it's the
Maple
top
Hill.
4.
We all had Maple
Yeah.
Hill. So now we're down to top 4. Let's go back to intern Ben.
My second, I don't know. It was a toss up, but I think I'm gonna go with the Overdose, or how you call it.
Ooh.
Just
The PCS.
PCS
Overdose.
Open. It was beautiful. Based on views alone.
Yeah.
A lot of this
You convinced me, Ben.
is going on views.
Anybody else Overos? I picked it.
I did not.
I actually did not pick it, but
Okay.
what I want to say, fantastic course. I love it. I think which this is not a debate, but I want to get my feelings
Of course.
out.
He's
Of course.
He has to tell us why it shouldn't be in our top five.
It's Kearns.
Because
It's
no,
Kearns,
I'm
of
just saying why
course.
it's not in mine. I
Okay.
loved it. I'm so excited for us to play it in the future and
Yeah.
continue to define it. It's the short trees. I don't know what it is about it. It was cool to
Bro,
see
they
the
get
creativity.
6 months of dark. Relax, man.
I'm not.
If you were
blaming
short,
them.
I'd call you short right now, but you're like
I-
6'3".
I'm
6
not
months of
blaming
dark.
them. Yeah, it's because I'm out in the light all day. That's a joke. I work on a computer all day long. Never see the light of day.
All
Touch
right.
grass,
We
man.
got
That's
we
the
got
new
your
insult,
general
apparently.
comments on it.
But I do love it. I think it would probably be top 8.
Okay. So that's 2 of ours now. What was your second one then, Nick or Evan? It doesn't have to be in order, but what's your second one you're bringing?
Yeah.
I was gonna say because it's my first one, but Fox Run.
Mhm.
Evan, do you have Fox Run?
Yeah,
I had it,
Ben,
definitely
do you
I
have
Fox
had it
Run.
as third.
Okay, so Ben's already given us 3 now. Nick says Fox Run. Evan says Fox Run.
Yeah.
It is not in my top 5.
Ooh.
And that's where you're wrong.
But here we go. Did you have Brewster?
I'll start with the next one. Yes, I do have Brewster. So I picked one or the other. I didn't want both of them in my top 5. They could be, but for me,
Yeah.
Matt, my preference to viewing and or playing, like both of those combined, I guess in my thoughts, I
Brewster.
picked Brewster.
Brewster was 5 for me.
So he gave all of yours now?
No, I have a 4th.
Okay, so
Ooh.
That's it.
okay, so
Yeah,
so
I did
far
not have
Nick,
Brewster.
so far
although it's a
Nick,
great
what'd you
course.
say?
I've said Maple Hill and Fox Run.
Okay, and Evan, you said so far.
I've said the same.
Okay,
Yep,
and
Maple Hill,
I've
Fox
said Maple Hill, Overos, and now I've alluded to Brewster Ridge. Ben, what have you said so far?
I said Maple Hill, Alvados, Fox Run, and then my 5th is Brewster Ridge. There's a 4th. I have a 4th.
Oh, okay. So what's your 4th then? Get it out.
Oh, go ahead.
Okay, my 4th. This might be controversial, but I'm gonna go. I don't know what the course is called. A Glendovere, maybe.
Oh,
Uh,
Ben, you and
or
me are so
Lenovo
much
West.
alike.
What?
Yeah.
East or West?
I don't know. Portland
See, he
Open,
doesn't
both
know.
courses. The ones with the
All
big
right.
red
Well,
ones.
We'll let
It's,
it pass.
it's Portland
Douglas
Open, but there
Spurs.
was Glendovere East and
Yeah,
Glendovere West.
it's all
this year.
one big. All of Glendovere.
To be honest, I forget which is which right now.
I-
but
so
I
do
do
I.
too.
one was heavily 2021.
I think they
but
went East,
reformatted,
East, West, West.
and
If
one was
I'm-
2022.
Correct me if
that-
I'm wrong.
pretty much
Someone in the chat, correct me if I'm wrong.
I
please.
think West was the one that was final round. Is that what you
Yeah.
said? Yeah, I think I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah, the last I was gonna say final round. That version, Glendovere. That's
West
also
is
in my
de-
list.
West is
Actually
definitely
did
better than
really
East.
enjoy watching that this year.
It's just
Yeah.
beautiful. I'm
So-
going based on views.
So he's given all of his. I now have similar to him. I have Glendovere, Overos, Maple Hill, Brewster Ridge. I don't have Fox in there. So you guys got to give another one now. Evan, what do you have?
All right, I'll go next. I don't know if you guys have this, but I think it's pretty obvious. It's Harmony Bends.
Ooh.
We'll see it actually coming up
Yep.
to be the next U.S. event when
Yep.
we get back. It's a silver event out in Missouri. I think I want to say I understand it might not ever be an elite because of the flooding issues. I think it kind of has to almost be a silver because it can flood. It could be canceled because of that in any year. I think that's a common problem there. Of course, we've seen a lot of flooding in New England lately, but that's more of a unique scenario. But I think it's one of the best courses ever. So when it is getting to be played, it's very, very cool to watch. I think the design's awesome. I think it's beautiful. Creeks galore. Perfect.
Okay. Nick, you didn't have that one.
I did not have that
So
one.
so give us your next one.
Are we talking just on the Pro Tour? Or are we
On
talking
the Pro
majors
Tour.
as well?
So no majors.
What? Majors are
Oh,
allowed?
all right.
Yeah,
You
that's kinda on the tour,
I
isn't
was
it?
understood it was
Yeah.
the Disc Golf Pro Tour, but that's okay.
I thought he
Okay.
said the tour, which I would.
I think I
I
said
would
the
put
tour.
majors in
It's
that
okay.
as well.
I only picked Disc
We're
Golf
Does
Pro
it,
Tour.
if you add majors, does it change anything, Matt? So we're talking about the Beast,
Yes,
WR
if
Jackson,
I
and Winthrop.
would have probably changed for me. I probably wouldn't have said my last one. I would change it to the Beast, but
Okay.
that's
Was
okay.
your last one Glendovere?
No, I already said Glendovere. My last one was going to be, and this is totally crazy, maybe a hot take. I think the potential's there, North Cove. I think that has great potential.
Oh, was that the Blue Ridge
okay.
Open?
Yeah,
or the Blue
I
yeah.
really
Yeah.
enjoyed it. You can start to see the style. I like
Yeah.
Overos. I like North Cove. Like I love shot shaping, not the longest holes. Like I really feel it. Brewster Ridge, I'm liking. That's longer, but Maple Hill shot shaping. Like that is my course preference to
Man,
watch.
Aaron Gossage probably
Yeah.
hates you right
Yeah, he's
now.
like, dude, horrible. Worst courses on tour, man.
Yeah, Glendevere he'd probably like. Yeah,
We gotta have
exactly.
him give his top 5. But okay, so that's
All
my
right.
top
Well,
5.
if we're adding, if we're adding in the majors, which originally I thought we were,
I would say
Um,
the Beast instead of
I
North
would
Cove.
say Fox Run's my 1. I would say honestly, the Beast is probably my number 2 because I think viewing wise, it's incredible. It's one of my bucket list courses that I would love to play, and I think because of the spectators that go out there every single year, I'm blown away by it. I choose that. W.R. Jackson, because when you talk about shot shaping, you got to talk about W.R. Jackson. Big trees, wooded. I love that style of disc golf. Shoot, I had 2 more. Now I totally forget. Evan, go ahead.
He's giving his list in
All right,
order
I'm
too,
blanking.
which we didn't do.
Yeah, okay, I was blanking.
Finish out.
Not a debate, but I have to say some thoughts because
Dude, I knew this would happen. I knew Evan would
what's wrong with
have
it?
to bring some
What's
Oh,
words.
Maple Hill. Sorry, I blanked
What's
on
wrong
Maple
with that?
Hill, but I
I'll
meant to
keep-
say that as well.
I'll
So
keep
that's
it
4
quick.
out
You
of
just
5
can't
so
contain
far.
yourself.
I can't. I have to say this, and there's
Go
nothing
ahead.
wrong with that.
Go
Let me be
ahead.
me. The Beast
No, we love you. We love
and
you.
USDGC are phenomenal. They require so much out of players, and it makes phenomenal events. So maybe it's just a different criteria.
Yep.
But I'm just thinking like long-term picturesque. Like it's not just the OB, but it's also the thought of playing around other sports fields. It's around playing common
I
areas.
agree.
The fans,
Every year that
awesome
comes
at
up,
the Beast.
I know.
I think the second point that I want to mention is it being a major elevates it so much. Think about if we had a silver event at USDGC and it was only a silver event, it didn't
Not
have
as
all
good.
the extra amenities. I think we'd be kind of annoyed by it, but because the event is so good as a major, it's incredibly well run. It has such exciting finishes. They've built up Throw Pink super well. Like it makes the event so awesome, and I'm excited for it every year. But purely thinking about the course, not top 5. But I respect it. I think it's awesome. I'm so excited for European Open.
When I made my list, my thought was I was only picking private courses, which again, it kind of happened because I was like, no majors. I was doing only pro tour stuff, and I only picked private. So I still like North Cove as my pick, but because of your criteria, I'm in that same boat. But man, it's such a good event. The course itself,
Yeah.
like you said, it brings it up a level.
Yeah, I'll give my next one. I have 2 more left.
Give them.
This one will definitely be controversial. I don't think anyone else will have this. Is Pickard Park. I just love it.
That was like my 6th.
Pickard, was that Des
Yeah,
Moines?
Des Moines.
That's Des Moines Challenge.
Yeah.
I think they've done so much good
Yeah.
work to that course, and it's gotten better every year. There's other courses that I love that don't feel like they've gotten as better as Pickard Park has, and like it just elevates it so much for me. I'm excited for it every year, and I think it's the best public park course that we get to see all year.
Yeah, good pick. Not controversial.
Yeah.
Dude, there are good
Okay,
courses
thanks.
out
I
there.
appreciate it.
There's good courses out
Yeah.
there. There's just preferences at this point.
Yeah.
So what's your last one?
All right, is it just am I the only one left with?
No, I got one more.
Okay.
Okay, well I can still go first if you
Yeah, go
want.
for it.
All right. I got an asterisk to this because I did one for MPO, one for FPO, but they're the same event. Of course, we just heard about the news, and we might not see it for FPO, but I still wanted to include it. But I want to go to Ledgestone and have Northwood Black for the men for the MPO and Sunset Hills for FPO. Sunset Hills being really the only FPO design course we see. Of course, Las Vegas Challenge had FPO only courses, but Sunset Hills is specifically designed for them. We get so much out of the players there. I think it's a fairly tasteful golf course. The rolling hills are really cool, so I really love it. Northwood Black, I feel like plays a lot better for the MPO than it does FPO. Not that it plays bad for the FPO, but I feel like you get that perfect, incredibly tough, got a shot shape. You have like hole 12, the par 5, you get to see it in its fullest. And I think it suits MPO really well. Again, the tournament will be different this year likely. I would love to see the FPO end on Sunset Hills, but they end on Northwood Black on their layout, and I don't like it as much. But that's a side Ledgestone thought. But
Yeah.
Northwood Black for MPO, Sunset Hills for FPO is my number. Well, not number 5, but 5th
Yeah.
one I'll say.
My last one is it's kind of tough to decide because Northwoods Black is one of the most challenging courses I've ever played, and I absolutely loved it. Like my first practice round there, it's really hard for me to like go back in because I've only played it a couple times where I'm like, oh, hole 1, hole 2, hole 3. But I just remember actually having so much fun playing that course because of the way that it's set up. But I'm obsessed with playing Brewster Ridge, and I haven't played Idlewild since 2017, but Idlewild was another one that I really enjoyed playing when I first went out there. Hole 1 is an incredible, par 3/4 downhill shot. It's just a very enjoyable course. But honestly, out of those 3, it's really hard to choose between Brewster because I can obviously score better on Brewster than I can at Northwoods Black. But Northwoods Black was so demanding and fun, and that to me is just, if I'm going out for a round with my buddies, I want to play something like that. But
okay,
yeah,
I had Northwood Blacks like in consideration when I was going through that list. It was close.
It was close.
All right, so that was just lighthearted. What are our top 5? I think those are some great courses. Shout out! I was just out at Westy Acres. We have a chat.
Oh, you did end up going?
Yeah, we have someone in the chat.
That's awesome.
Called Westy Acres, and it just, I think, coincidental maybe. No, they have a course out there in Greenfield, Mass. That is worth driving to and playing. If you're within hours of it, it's worth driving to and playing. Really cool.
Yeah, they just hit number 5 on UDIS new list for Massachusetts.
I saw that. Sick.
There you go. It was totally fun. It was really hot and humid and sweaty, and I still had a good time practicing for a tournament.
What'd you play, white or blues?
It was a practice round in the sense that I threw mainly tee shots, but I threw both. I actually threw both holes. So
okay, blue is tough.
Yeah,
blue,
I had some choice conversation opinions for him after the round. I talked to the designer. I talked to the course owner. It was good. I think there's lots of potential there, and it was fun. I had fun. I'll leave it at that. It was great. Worth traveling out to.
100%.
The venue, the infrastructure of the venue is like amazing. Like from the bandstand like type deal to like barns out on the property to host, like really cool venue. I guess they used to host
Massachusetts has a lot
concerts there.
Oh, Massachusetts has a lot of good courses now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, speaking of top 5, like got to shout out Meadowbrook as well. Dave's probably listening to this. Like that absolutely
we got all these
deserves to be top
courses.
5 as well. So yeah, very cool to see. Much better than New Hampshire, if I'm being honest.
All right. Westy Acres in the chat. Great talking with you, Matt. Good. I'm glad it didn't ban me after my opinions. I think it's really
Did
cool.
you Kearns them?
No, I razzed.
He didn't go on
Kern
UDisc and 1-star him.
What? Okay, I don't 1-star. I just go.
You're either
2.5
2 or
3.
5. Okay, here we go.
Oh, I feel bad. We mess with
No.
Kearns a little bit too much.
No,
I think
that's good.
sometimes.
No,
I
it's because he
deserve
messes
it.
with me. Every comment I see is like, I love how Kearns razzes Ben, so I gotta dish his back.
Okay, European Open picks.
Nice.
So we're looking for an MPO winner and an FPO winner, but also for fun, and we've never done this. Well, maybe in a variation. A player that will outperform their average finish by the most. So you could pick any player. They don't even have to place top 20. If you picked them and they're usually 70th and they finish 40th and you beat everybody by 30, you know what I mean? Like it could be anybody.
How do you
I
know
was
that?
gonna say, what if Gannon Burr averages
You would have
second
to.
and he wins
We'll have
it?
to use
I'm just-
Stat Mando, I think, for this
He's
one.
not playing. Yeah, I'm not even prepared for this. I
No, I know.
Yeah, need to use our site.
Yeah,
and-
I'm going on to who's even playing the
Quick.
event right now.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I'm gonna.
All right,
I'll
I'll
start
give you
out
my
while you
picks.
guys look. I'll start out while.
Oh, I was gonna say, I can give you my picks right off the rip. Paul McBeth, Kristen Tatar.
Okay.
I'm like trying to convince myself. I have to pick Kristen Tatar. There's like that's what's happening.
No, you don't have to.
No, I have to.
You,
There's no
you
question.
have a choice
there.
in this.
Didn't
Nope.
last time I
Nope.
picked Kristen,
I
she
am.
lost, or like 2 times ago? I was like, fine, I'll pick
But
Kristen. She lost.
The MPO winner's tough because European Open. I mean, Paul McBeth. What was it? 5 iterations in a row until Eagle won, and he still finished second with the second highest event rating of all time for
Matt.
a second place. Oh,
It's okay.
Oh,
you
no,
guys
Matt's
can
It
hear
gone
me.
always
again.
happens.
You can hear me. Something funky.
Yeah.
Figure this one out.
But it and like Macbeth coming to a major, like you just won PCS Open. It feels too much. It feels way too chalk to pick Paul McBeth right now, even though he probably has the best odds. So I'm gonna need a minute to think about MPO.
Okay. So unless you're picking someone
get
besides
30
Kristen and
seconds.
Paul, I feel like Eagle, there's potential there for sure. He plays this course really well. I'm going to give this one to Paul. I don't know. I'm feeling it after this victory. We haven't seen it a little bit. Maybe it's recency bias, but like, I haven't picked Paul, I don't think. Maybe I have. I have to go back in history. I'm picking him. And then for FPO, I am going to pick Kristen Tatar.
Yes,
Obviously, Katrina Allen could be in the conversation any given week. With Paige out, there's that. I'm giving you all my reasoning here. Ella Hansen, great. I think she's up and coming and she has a chance to win, but I don't think she's going to win at this event. And I wanted to pick Evelina, but you're going to be very surprised who I'm feeling like is going to be pushing on the last day to beat Kristen. It's Henna Blumroos. I feel like she steps up here. She has the ability. This is where she's going to be competing in the last round for that spot. I don't think she'll get it. That will be my pick. That's not highest above average, though. That's going to be a really interesting pick. I'm not sure what to even do there. So, anybody have like highest above average player that they'd like to pick?
I do.
Okay.
I got my MPO highest above average.
Okay.
Me as well.
What do you think, Nick?
I think Jeremy Colling is going to
wow.
finish much better than his average finish. Which
For this season,
year
let's be clear, it's for this season, right?
Yeah, for this season, we have best finish at a Pro Tour event being 14th, which is the event that we just had. Before that, it was 30th at Jonesboro. 28th at Champions Cup. Everything else is 30, 30, 34, 35, 50, 54, 73, 77, 84, 118. So let's say he averages 65th place, 60th place. I bet you Jeremy Coley gets a top 10 this week.
Okay, you just inspired me. I'm going with Yuli.
Oh, I knew you were going to say that right after I said Colin, because I almost said Yuli as well, but I think that was a little bit too much recency bias.
Well, I'm going Yuli. He's had an unfortunate season in a lot of ways, and obviously a great player. I'm not saying that. I'm saying he would say every week, he's like, I'm still trying, everybody.
He finished good last
and he did.
tournament.
So he's messing up the average for this year for me. I need it to be lower, but I think that he's going to come out and place better than his average. So we'll see what happens, but that's my pick for MPO most outperformed their round. So any other thoughts on that?
Evan didn't even pick his MPO winner yet, did he?
I know what my MPO winner is going to be. I'm
gosh.
going Calvin Heimberg.
Oh, wow.
Picking up his first major title. He's been off lately,
Yes.
but think about how he's been off.
Yes.
Finishing
still
second at the
podiums.
reserve,
Yeah.
finishing third at PCS, and the putter's off. And like that just feels like
That's
thing
a
that
whole segment.
that Heimberg's going to fix. It feels like it's just something's going to click. He's going to be going, and he's been keeping himself in there enough that like, it's a mental issue in the sense that, it's kind of putting and all the physical attributes are there, but it's not like a mental issue. You get where I'm going with that?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's not like,
no, yeah.
Yeah. It's not like a putting yips. It's not anything like that. So
No.
I think it's a very minor, just adjustments that he'll make. I just feel like it's time. It's the season of Vinny. He hasn't won since Jonesboro, actually, which is kind of crazy.
So
to
is
think
it
about.
really the season of Vinny?
So, but it still is the
Sounds
season
like
of
the
Vinny.
season of Gannon Bird.
So you could argue, actually, that was a potential other one, but I think we're running out of time here. For my outperform, I'm not like, I'm going to a player who's finishing better than the one you said, but I think I think they're going to place better than their average finish, which if you include DNFs, let me take that out, is 42nd. But I'm going Nicholas Antala. I think he's primed for like a top 5 finish, pushing for the win even. Last 2 majors, he's finished second and second. It just...
Damn. Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
So
like,
is this your winner,
All
you
right.
said, or your outperform?
No. This is my outperform.
Okay.
He's going to outperform second place.
Yeah, I was just going to say, what is his average? That's going to be hard.
His average is 27.6 on the season for Disc
so
Golf Pro
if
Tour
he
Elite
wins
and
or
majors.
gets second, that's a lot. You're right.
27.6. So he finished the top 20 and he's doing better than his average. Of course, I'm sure Yuli and Jerem, even if they play below average, will finish better than their average. Just I'm saying that just because European Open.
I know
the meat of the field isn't as strong. So they'll be able to pick up some places there.
Man,
but good picks.
FPO outperform is really tough. The field is smaller. There's 27. You feel like you got to pick someone who can have a higher ceiling. So they have to have not played that well this year, but you think maybe they will play well. no offense to this player, because I'm actually picking you to do well, is Sarah Hokum. We'll see. That's my outperform for FPO.
Sweet.
Anybody else?
All right, yeah.
My
I haven't picked
outperform
it.
for FPO, Katie Tati.
Oh yeah, that's probably.
I think she's gonna have a baller event.
That's a good one.
That's a good one. And if we're talking about average placing, we're kind of referring to elite and majors, right?
Yeah.
Or it can even include
No,
silvers.
we're
Yeah,
elite
it can
majors.
include silvers.
Yeah.
It's the tour. I
Well,
was gonna say.
okay.
Okay,
The
let me throw in silvers, but it still makes me want to stick with this. I'm going to go with Silva Saarinen. She won 3 Euro tours in a row, but she did play 4 events on tour in the US earlier this year, averaged a 21.5. So I think she'll do better than 21.5. I'm sure we'll all do better than average here. But I'm excited for her. She's played really well. Has beat a lot of the other good European competition. So seeing how she stacks up against the Americans, since she was playing Turku, we didn't get to see her PCS.
Anybody else?
Yeah, I haven't
Ben?
gone yet. So my picks for winning, I'm gonna go.
Oh, we didn't even get those yet. Sorry, Ben.
Oh, Ben, give them all.
I'm gonna go Ricky Wysocki. He's playing, right? Okay.
Yes.
For my FPO winning pick, I'm gonna go Cat Allen. Just what it is.
I actually love that pick.
That's a fair pick. I
Thank
thought you were
you.
going to say Cat Mersch, which I mean, no, she's actually not even over
Yeah,
in Europe.
she's not in Europe.
Which, yeah, not
I'd
to
be a fake
discredit
fan.
that.
I knew
pick
that.
either,
I'm Cat Merch's biggest fan. And then for
Get
my,
her on the show.
I tried. I tried so hard.
Not-
That's why
not
she's
big
not
enough.
coming, then, isn't it?
No, I didn't try.
All right.
What and then sneaky sneakers, whatever it's called.
Leaky leakers.
My sneaky sneaker MPO pick is Robert Burridge.
Ooh, he's been having a solid season.
Wait, that's
I think
your
it's a little bit
outperform
under
player?
the radar.
Yeah,
Burridge.
Robert Burridge. I think he's
Yeah.
gonna finish well and
Yeah, great pick, Ben.
bring me the victory.
You have to pick someone like that. That's for sure. I don't know if he's gonna.
And
do it. We'll
then
see.
for FPO sneaky sneaker, I'm going Rachel Turton. I like the last name, and I'm feeling it. Rachel Turton.
All right.
Why am
Let's
I
go.
having a brain freeze? A massive one. I apologize. I'm not a fan of the sport. I'm looking real. Oh, here he is. Chandler Kramer. Last year was a breakout event.
Yeah, he finished 51st at PCS Open or 55th,
So-
something like that.
Yeah.
This would sound super offensive. So let me say it. Can lightning strike twice? Like, is he gonna do it
Can it?
again where he
Yeah.
like really is pushing for that? Because that was a super breakout. Everyone's like, "Who is this?"
Yeah.
We got the interview.
We were
It
all
was
roasting
crazy.
his shorts.
No,
Yeah.
people were. I guess like, would
Yeah,
he be
people
a
on
good
Twitter
pick?
were.
Would he be a good pick for Outperform? Like, what do you think? Is this his course? Is that why he
Chandler?
showed up, or was that just like a lucky event?
Yeah, I don't even know. I personally think he's just getting hot. Like he
Okay.
just had a great tournament.
Just
Yeah.
played
Maybe
really
he
well.
plays
Made
really
putts,
well here. If he
great
is,
shots.
he's the
Yeah.
Outperform. But I didn't pick him. So
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually feel like the forehand holes at the Beast don't like they feel a little bit more gettable than some of those backhand
Yeah.
holes, which I mean kind of goes to the top player where, you know, throwing 550 is pretty attainable backhand for righties, but throwing, you know, a 400 flat hyzer is kind of the, you know, solid peak.
Chandler Kramer's 1022 rated with only a forehand. That's pretty crazy.
that's what I'm doing.
because he
wrong.
puts Ben.
And he puts
Yeah.
puts crazy. He puts with a slammer from his like hip. like,
Ben, tell me about
But he
the
doesn't
I think
three
he
putt
can
holes
putt
today.
with a
What?
slammer.
what?
I want to hear
Yeah,
about
he does.
Ben's. I want to hear about Ben's 3 holes
Star?
today. 3 holes where you missed a putt. Tell us about
Oh,
it.
bull snake. He used to pose. It's a
Come
bull
on.
snake now. Okay, 3 holes. I missed. Guys, I missed 2 15-footers to save par.
Oof.
I was shooting a great round, -4 at
You were
Webster.
only at 15 feet for par?
Yeah. And they're both comebackers. As in like I
Oh,
missed the
okay,
putt
okay.
already. I missed the putt already. And then I'm like, okay, that's a tap in, and then I missed it again. So yeah, I went from I could have had a -7 round, went -4 because I was so in my head. Tell me down below, chat, what do you stare at? How do you stare at chain links? I can't stare at chain links. It boggles my mind, and
Just
I think
close
about
your
it too
eyes.
much.
Just close your eyes. Spin around. There's been some interesting putters over the years. I'm gonna forget the names right now. old school discraft player used to like do this weird like not look at the basket and then like turn around and look at it. I've played with players who once
That's isn't that Yuli's caddy?
maybe.
Brad Hammock.
Oh, maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
At
pretty
Worlds
sure
in
that's who you're talking about.
2011, Worlds in 2011, there was a player on my card. There goes my camera again. It's okay.
Let's go. New camera time.
And he would face away from the basket. And he would like get all ready in the zone, like look down, look at his putter, like act like he was getting ready to make the putt, but he's facing the opposite way. And then literally last second with his head down, he would turn around, but his head was down. And as soon as he would look up, he'd lift his head up and putt. Like he had
It makes sense.
It's like he couldn't see anything else.
It makes sense because I know we were talking about basketball how it's different, but
Ben, it doesn't make sense.
no, it makes sense. No,
It doesn't
listen.
make sense. No.
No,
Ben,
it does make sense.
It 100%.
Listen.
If I ever
No,
saw you
listen to
doing
me.
that on your putting style, I'd
Listen to me.
slap you.
Listen to me. It makes sense, and not the turnaround, but it makes sense. Basketball, if you look at like Steph Curry's Klay Thompson, they're looking at the ground, and then when it's time to shoot their free throw, that's when they go up. Because if you're focusing too much, it gets in your mind. I think it's good if you're like looking at it, then you can maybe look away, then reset. I don't think doing the whole spindly diddly doodah is good, but I think looking at the ground and not focusing so much on the chains and stuff is good because you just look at the putt. You know where you are. Look down, then you can focus for a bit. Then you go instead of just going like this.
There's truth
Ben-
to that, though. There is truth.
Ben,
but
what are you focused on when you're driving? Like when you're driving your car.
Oh,
Like I'm not talking about disc golf driving. I'm
Eyes are
talking about when
flipping.
you're driving
Oh.
your car.
The road.
The road, right? You're looking forward.
Yes.
At the road. You're not
You hope.
looking at the line,
Right.
the middle line, to make sure that you're 2 feet off of that and you're 2
Right.
feet. You're not looking at those
No.
lines, right? You're kind of you're looking forward,
Yes.
but you're almost endlessly looking forward. Like you're not so specific on a single little target, unless it's like a red light or a stop sign or something like that. You're kind of like, okay, now I need to stop. But for the most part, you're kind of you're looking forward and it's natural to you. You don't look backwards. You don't take your eyes off the road, Ben, because that's bad. You don't text and drive, Ben, because that's bad.
But that's different. Driving.
When you're looking
That's
at a
different.
disc golf basket, you're just looking at the basket, man. You don't need a single in on a chain link
Yeah,
at
there's
all.
all different
Like this right
opinions.
here. This right here. You don't need a single in on this. You look at the whole thing.
I know you say that.
You
But
look at the middle of the pole.
If I look at the whole thing, I
Yep.
don't know what to look at. I
So-
look through it.
When I grew up, my dad
I told
taught
you
me
earlier,
something.
Ben. You look at the basket.
Yeah, so Nick, that might work for some people. For me, it doesn't
Yeah.
work. And I feel like my putting's actually really good. And I think, and I'm tooting my horn, I feel like I was taught growing up, you look at what you want to hit. Like you could say, look at the basket, but I've just discovered for myself, and I think a lot of people do, if you aim small, you miss small, they say. So when I literally pick one small spot and I just stare at it, if I try to hit that when I'm off 6 inches or 10 inches or whatever, like, or air it, no. But when you miss a little bit, you're still in the basket. So like, I don't know, everyone has to come up with their own thing. But if you're just like looking like into the vast of there's a basket in front of me, but your peripheral's all part of your vision, you're like, just whip it. Like
Dude, like
you'll be a Yakub in that one
some of
round.
I've like I'm not a terrible putter. I'm not the greatest putter, but I can hit putts consistently when I'm just not thinking of anything. But you can't do that in tournament because you're like overthinking everything. So I'm trying to figure out what to think.
yeah,
It's
and
a
here's-
journey.
Here's my advice, Ben, which I was saying earlier, but let's say it to all the people watching.
Mhm.
Is when you're practicing, you are thinking about nothing. You're calm, you're relaxed,
Exactly.
everything's cool. You're just throwing it in. It's easy.
It's easy.
When you get in a tournament, you didn't practice for that situation. You're in a totally different situation. The pressure's on. You're in the heat of the moment. Your heart rate's probably higher. So what I was saying to
My
Ben,
eyes
which
twitching.
I think there's truth to it, to at least try. It's not like a set given fix, but do things to get your heart rate up, to get excited. Between every putt, just like sprint 10 feet back and forth, like just get that going, get the juices flowing, so you kind of have some adrenaline to fight. And then you have that mental battle to, okay, let me get ready for my putt. I got to breathe. I got to think through it. And think about it. Like if you're thinking about it when you're practicing, when you're in your backyard and you treat it, then when you get up to the tournament, you're already like, you're comfortable thinking about it and you can do better because you've practiced the tuning out part of it.
Ben, I got a question for you.
Yep.
During your round today, when you missed those few putts, what time did you end your round?
What?
Uh-oh.
What time
Uh-oh, Nick, I
did your
know
round
right
end?
where you're going, Nick.
Yep. Yep.
What time did your round end?
I don't know how to check that on you. I started at 1.
What time did you leave Webster?
3:30.
3:30.
Yes.
What did you do right after you left Webster?
I went to get Subway and 2 body armors.
So you went straight to Subway instead of spending 10 extra minutes at 20 feet at Webster, just putting on 18 and just taking a couple extra putts. You could have spent 10 minutes, and that right there would have helped you improve your putting. I bet.
It's because I had to meet a friend at West Thompson to play another round where I did more putting. Winner.
I thought you were going down a different road, Nick.
I won.
I thought you were going down the road because this happens sometimes with Ben. We're just throwing him out there tonight to just roast. He'll text us mid-round. Guys, I just took a 7 on a hole. I don't know what's wrong with me.
He'll do it during tournaments.
Yeah,
I do.
But I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, your mindset, you're trying to like talk it out with us, which is fine, but your mindset is too on it. So then when you step up to that putt, that's you're like, you can't miss this one. You just missed the last one. And like, it's way off. Your focus is way off at that point. And that's probably, I think, where a lot of this is coming from. Because I think your putting you're usually really confident. So I think it's when you start getting in your head, you miss something, and then you're like, now you're
that's
overthinking.
the thing. I'm trying to, exactly. You're 100%. I'm trying to think of how to not overthink.
Yep.
That's
you have
what
to
I'm
not
trying
care so much. You have to not.
that's what I've been doing. That's what I've been doing. I've been being like, I don't care anymore. Whatever happens, happens. I don't
You care though, because you're scoring every one of your rounds.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's
I do.
true.
No,
Stop scoring your rounds.
Yes, I think that's actually true.
You don't need to score practice rounds every single. If we go off for a round, the 4 of us. Why?
But
you
then
shot
I like
4
to
down
track
at Webster.
progress.
I would
Yes.
not feel good about shooting 4 down at Webster.
I would, but
but you're like you're an MPO pro. I'm a 926.
Yes and no. There are people now. We're just off. This is cool. This is really late show. We're
we're just bantering
but
at
like,
each other now.
If you go out and play a round before a tournament in practice, and you're like, oh dang, I just shot best round of my life, 8 down. I know I can do it now. And then you go into that tournament round, like it's in your head. And to Nick's point, you need to practice the shots. You don't need to know what you score. I tell my kids that all the time now. I say, we're going to do a practice round. And Nick, I've learned this from hanging out with you and Paul on the course and others. Mm-hmm. Like, we're going to throw shots off the tee pad, multiple shots off the tee pad. We don't even need to putt. You can go putt from the places where you think, but you probably pick a spot. Be like, I think I'm probably going to be here. I'd like to practice from here. Like, you're not just like playing your hole to like score it. I don't think.
No, the only if I'm going like in the past couple of years when I'd go out to pro tour events, if I was doing a scored round, it was a cash round against friends to where it was like
real.
But if like someone threw a shot where they're like, I'm not really comfortable with that, obviously we're gonna let them throw more, but you score all the first ones. But for the most part, that's when I do a scored round. If I'm playing a casual practice round, but this is the way I do it. I throw enough drives where I feel like I can comfortably hit the gap. And then depending on where my good shots land, I'll throw my up shots because I'm very hopeful that that's where I'm going to land there. But guess what? 99% of the time during the tournament, I don't land in the spot that I landed in practice.
That's
More often
true.
than not, it doesn't happen like that. So I'll practice a few up shots here and there. But when I get to the green, so I carry three putters in my bag that I can actually putt with. If I'm inside of circle 1, I can't leave that spot until I've made all 3 of those putts in a row. And then I go to the next one. Then I go to the next one. If I'm in circle 2, if it's from 35 or 40 feet, I got to make 2 of them. If it's from 45 to 50, 60 feet, whatever.
Is that your putting practice, or you're actually thinking like for that round, it's going to help if you practice on the course? Because I'm just of the mindset. Like if I'm going out to a big event or I'm practicing for a tournament in general, my best attribute, my best aspect of my game is my putting. So I have to feel like my putting is on because that's where I make up strokes. That's where I score. Okay. And so I carry 3 putters out for a round because normally my practice rounds, I'm not so beyond focus. I've got music playing. I'm texting friends. I may be on a phone call. I walk up to the spot where my disc landed. If I miss the first putt, the second putt is about correcting off my mistake. Okay. So if I make the second putt, the third putt is off repeating that motion that I just did. So I try to, it's for confidence.
That's just how I
got you. It's to build it up and say, look, I can do it. Yeah. That's great.
All right. Here's my counter argument about keeping score. We're talking about pressure here. I think they both.
You can't build enough pressure in a casual round where there's nothing on the line than a tournament.
No,
that's why I miss. That's why I miss putts. That's why I miss. That's why I miss those 10 footers. I'm like, oh, I'm shooting actually really good right now.
I think he needs more pressure though. I think
Are you upset when you miss those putts during your practice round? Are you upset?
Yes, I'm very upset.
So that's where like you're kind of hindering yourself because you are getting so emotionally upset about you missing a practice putt. It's like, okay, do you carry your second putter and then putt that one right after?
Of course.
What was your mistake? Did you miss it low? Okay, let's put it a little bit higher this time. You're getting so worked up on your casual practice rounds. I can get it. If you're hitting every single first tree, if you're hitting every single first tree, I understand getting upset. Believe me, if I, like that happens to me. But if I'm getting so worked up in a practice round, obviously I'm going to get worked up in a tournament round. You're supposed to go out and play disc golf and relax and practice. What am I trying to work on today? Do I need to work on my forehands? Okay, I'm working on my forehands. I can't get pissed off every single time I throw a bad forehand because that's why I'm practicing.
Yeah,
get pissed off in the tournament by all means.
No,
but
if I miss like a 30-footer, I'm not going to get mad. If I miss a 10-footer, I think everyone should get mad if they miss a 10-footer.
But I think
it's a casual round though. You're like it's a casual round to where it's like, okay, there's nothing to lose. Go back and retake that putt. Make that.
No,
putt.
I do though.
It
That's
could have
been.
been.
I practice, but it's never. I never do. When I send those scores or whatever, It's never one shot off the tee. It's probably like. So I guess doesn't even really count. I probably take 7 shots off the tee. No, I take my.
So you didn't shoot -4.
No, I take my first shot.
3 over?
I take my first shot, but I probably throw like everyone gets mad at me because bro, stop throwing so many seconds.
Yeah, you throw a lot of shots. Our rounds take like twice as long.
It's because I want to practice. I want to get better, but I just take my first shot.
Okay. So you're not cheating. You're just wasting time.
I mean, even still, it's still not. The second you take a funsy shot, it's not really a scored round.
No, 100%. I agree with that. I'll never be like, oh.
So why are you keeping score?
Because
there's no point.
One, I like the progress to see. Two, it brings pressure. It's like a battle with myself.
Okay. Yeah, the pressure is good. I think Nick has a great point that in your casual rounds you need to overcome this anger that you have.
I think there's both.
If you miss a 10-footer, that's awesome that you have this pressure on that you wanted to make it, but don't freak out. And we know, Ben, we have it on camera. You
Ben freaks
flip
out.
your hat out. You'll throw it. Like, don't do that. Stop yourself there.
I don't do
That's
that
your practice.
I'm not doing that in practice.
That is your practice.
Rounds.
No, you do. That's your practice, is to not do that. And if you're not doing it in the practice rounds, good on you for not doing it. You want the pressure to be there where you're upset, but then you want to overcome that upsetness.
I'm upset for maybe like 10 seconds, then I move on in a practice round. In tournament, I do definitely get upset
because then it sticks around.
Over. Yeah,
we play cogs once, and you're thinking about the course sucks every single
but
hole.
I love cogs. That's the thing. It's
so
like something I'll
give you this, Ben.
Yeah, I love it too because I beat you there.
If I'm in practice, okay, I have an awesome practice course here in Virginia called Sandusky, and it's all about driving, like good drives and making putts. There's no upshot work because it's a short enough course, but it's really, really enjoyable. If I miss a 10-foot putt, I'm probably going to putt 10 times from that exact spot to make sure I don't do that where I was like, oh my God, what the hell was that? Like, I just pulled my wrist a little bit or just kind of stepped up and did it. But I'm going to putt that over and over and over until I make that 10-footer over and over and over. And then I'm going to go to the next hole. I'm going to be happy-go-lucky because I don't usually miss 10-footers. It's very rare that I do that in a tournament, but you just have to practice it more.
All right.
What is your putting practice? Have you ever putted just consistently only from 20 feet in a night? Like I've told you for 2 years?
Not only from 20
the answer's no.
Listen,
the answer's no. No, I'm asking if you've only putted from 20 feet in a night.
And then I'll putt from 25 feet, and then I'll putt from 30, and then I'll go back to 20. It's like might as well putt. If I do 1,000 putts from 20 feet, might as well go to 25 after the 1,000.
Listen to Nick, he's better than you.
See, that's where you're asking for advice. You're one of those people that ask for advice, but then doesn't take said advice.
Yeah, and wants to go.
Like that's why when I texted you earlier, you never responded to my text, and I said, "How are you practice putting?"
Oh, I'm sorry. There's a lot of text coming in. I didn't even see it.
Just because you don't take the advice you're given.
This is the Nick and Matt show intervention. Someone in the chat said.
Yeah.
So
I flipped. I'm on Team Nick. Fully.
Yeah,
so putt from 20 feet, and that's it. For a night.
I've literally told you that for like 2 years now. Tonight, what I'm going to do in about 2 minutes when we end this show is I'm going to drive my ass down to Chipotle. I'm going to get a fat burrito because I'm starving right now. And then I'm going to come back and it'll be about 10:30. And I'm going to practice putt till probably 11:30 at night because I missed 3 or
All right.
4 inside the circle putts this last weekend, and I lost a tournament by 3. Meaning, hey, I got to practice putts. 2 of them were from 20 feet. So all I'm going to do tonight is practice 20 footers because building that repetition, knowing that I can confidently hit that putt over and over and over, 20 feet and 25 feet are really not that much of a difference.
All right, here's my challenge. Nick, you're going to putt a whole lot tonight. You're going to tell us how many putts you did. I don't care how many you made. I just care how many you attempted. Ben, you are matching that. Maybe not tonight. I get Nick's doing it late.
You are matching that. Tomorrow, yep.
Yeah, and you go to bed at 2 a.m. and you brag about how little sleep you get. You're fine.
Don't brag. I hate it.
You're going to putt as many times as Nick does every single time Nick putts, because Nick putts a lot. He's very
all
very
right, Nick.
good
I got
that.
Hey,
if you
I have an A tier coming up this weekend. And so my goal tonight will probably be 250 to 500, depending on how I'm feeling.
Yeah, match it, Ben.
Tomorrow will probably be 1,000 putts.
New competition,
go,
the Nick and Ben competition. If you actually keep track of your putts, I will match.
You want me to
it.
make a spreadsheet for you guys to do
yes.
it?
Yeah, do it on Google.
It has to be live.
Do it on Google, and we can.
Yeah.
Hey, when I'm up in Massachusetts, we can do a live putting night. I'll happily do 1,000 putts in one night. I'll bring all my practice
right
putters
in my house. We'll just run the cameras
and
out.
We'll talk.
Yeah.
All right. If you actually send me, I will match it. I'm saying that right now. I will 100% match every single putt that you putt. If you actually send it to me, and I know it's more tedious to actually count than just putt, but that's what.
Well, it's pretty easy. I have 25 putters. Yeah. I'll tell you how many I made, how many I missed. But this is the other thing: is any of the putters that I miss, I go back, I pick them all up, and I putt them until they're in.
So just
but I don't count those. I don't count those as putts. So it's 25 each time, and I may putt 33 times if I miss, 8 of them.
Okay.
So just tell me the attempts and then tell me your overall score, I guess.
All right.
And Evan will put in a Google Doc.
I'm interjecting.
I'm not putting anything in a Google Doc. I'm making
because
the Google
we've
Doc easy
done
for you.
25 minutes on intern Ben's putting, which is fine. It's banter after, right? Like people are enjoying it. This is entertaining. But I want to give credit somehow. But I've been waiting so long to do this, and this is not an advertisement. But Overthrow Disc Golf's in the chat. And this is why I said, I've been waiting so long, but I'm also thinking I should have waited longer. My rating has been steadily increasing this year. And I will go on record as saying a large portion of that is because of Overthrow Disc Golf. Literally, I have not reached out. I have not, did I? I tried to reach out maybe, and I got no response. Maybe I didn't. No, that was a long time ago. Sorry. But there was something, now that we're talking about form, there was something that stood out to me about Overthrow's, I don't want to say it's most recent video. I see a fair amount go up, but I think it was the backhand form. And it was 2.0. It was things we've learned, we've changed the way we've talked about this, taught, coach, Chris,
Coach
Chris Taylor and all that. Right. So they break it down. They talk about what they've learned, what they see. There was something I was telling intern Ben last week that in 18 years of playing and hearing people talk about disc golf, literally never stood out to me. I've seen so many clinics. Literally, I've watched the best in the world talk about how to throw. Never once until Overthrow Disc Golf. And I don't know if I'll do it justice, but for me, you guys everyone says that. But for me, it was this concept of your hips are not rotating as part of the as the throw, as part of the throw. Your hips are rotating because of the throw. And I was like, what? I don't know if that's the right words, but the idea is your motion is linear. Okay. And go watch the video. I'm not going to do the whole thing. Your motion is linear with your throw. And so for me, I was opening up, and I always knew that. I always knew I was opening up, but I didn't understand the concept of don't have the rotation be part of your throw. I thought it was just I was doing it too early. It's no, linear. And so for me, power increase, absolutely. You can actually feel it. You're wow, big difference. And then aiming point, the way I aim totally changed. So much change with it. I'm giving the shout out on the record now. My rating is going up, and I feel like it's because I'm having consistency with my throws, and I'm relating it to what I had that epiphany watching your videos. So shout out to Overthrow. There you go. He says, I think I ghosted you accidentally. Then I texted you back like 2 weeks later, but it's all good. It's all good. I just wanted to give that shout out, and now my rating will plummet. But
Ben, cue up the music.
for the first time ever, I am the highest rated in a division tournament, like a tournament I'm playing, Nick, for the first time ever. It's out
There
at
you go.
Westy in 3 weeks. I'm the highest rated in
Nice.
M1, and I'm like,
And the lowest.
Now
I gotta
pressure.
get out there when I'm back up in Massachusetts next time.
New pressure for me. I've never had that. I'm nervous. All right.
Shout out, Matt.
It's been a long show. This is up there.
Everybody, thank you so much for tuning in on this wonderful Monday night. We appreciate you just being here in general. Some awesome interviews from Paul and Paige. If you missed them, check them out. We had Paige on a phone call. We had Paul at 2 a.m. in Finland hanging out with us. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe on the video. And the biggest, most important thing you can do right now is subscribe to the YouTube channel. If you're listening post audio, create a YouTube account. Subscribe to us. We have a massive giveaway going on.
Get your friends to do it because we need to get there quick. The longer we wait, the less time you have to plan for the giveaway. And it's going to be
Exactly. We have a massive giveaway for VIP tickets to the MVP Open this year. Check out other episodes. We'll talk about it every single week, but we need 10K subscribers to get this giveaway going. We're about 500 away.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the channel. Like the channel. Comment. Hang out with us live on Monday nights. We appreciate every single one of you. Tell someone you love them this week. I'm going to get Chipotle.
What a show.
Peace.
Fat burrito time, someone in the chat says.
Hell yeah.
Ben, you're awesome. Evan, you're awesome. Nick, you're awesome. Everybody, until next time, peace out.
Practice your 20-footers.
It's on, Nick.
The Nick and Matt Show, a disc golf podcast designed for you, the disc golfer. Find the Nick and Matt Show on your favorite podcast platforms or join the conversation live on YouTube.